Chapter 676. Amidst the boundless sea of clouds, a golden sword light sped toward the nearest heavenly gate at a speed comparable to an itinerant immortal. According to what the bald man said, with Ning Fan's speed of breaking the 6 escape technique, he would need half a month to reach the heavenly gate. However, if he transformed into a loose immortal, he would need at most 7 days to arrive at the heavenly gate. It had been 3 days since he killed the bald man and the others. Along the way, whenever the members of the Immortal Burial Clan discovered Ning Fan's whereabouts, they would immediately send out a signal and attack him without hesitation. During these 3 days, he had already killed thousands of experts of the Immortal Burial Clan. Each of them was an expert above the Divine Transformation realm. He had also killed 3 Void Fragmentation realm experts. Their cultivation bases were not high. They were only at the 1st or 2nd heavenly layer. Biscuit brother, there are still many treasures in the 1st heaven realm. Aren't we going to look for them? Bright Sparrow said with some vexation. If it's on the way, I'll take it. If it's not on the way, I'll just abandon it. Ning Fan shook his head. From the memories of the Immortal Burial Clan members he killed, he found out that not only the 1st heaven realm, but all the Immortal Burial Clan members had been mobilized in the past 27 days. These Immortal Burial Clan members had received orders to kill all foreign cultivators they encountered. The 9 ancestors and 18 kings seemed to be busy with their own matters. None of them showed up to chase after Ning Fan. Even so, the Immortal Burial Clan was not to be underestimated. It was said that in the Immortal Burial Clan, there were also some corpse devils with rogue immortal cultivation sealed up. All of them were transformed from the corpses of ancient immortals. Under such circumstances, Ning Fan naturally did not have the mood to search for treasures. He just wanted to kill his way to the 33 heavens as soon as possible. The more he killed, the denser the corpse chi in his body became. The corpse chi seeped into Ning Fan's body, prompting his corpse devil body to slowly advance towards the 3rd corpse transformation. All of a sudden, the ancient sword was repelled by a finger projection and stopped in midair. In front of the ancient sword, there was a burly man in red robes who wore an evil smile on his face. Behind him were tens of divine transformation and void refinement realm experts of the Immortal Burial Clan. Haha, I'm really lucky to run into 2 foreign cultivators. One is a 1-shatterer, the other a 6-shatterer. The one with the 6 broken seems to be a cultivator from the Rain world. This red-robed man didn't look like a member of the Immortal Burial race. There seemed to be a fire circulating in his body. His Dao name was True Flame, and he was a cultivator of the fire world from 60,000 years ago. That year, he had entered the ancient heavenly court as a first demolisher. Unfortunately for him, he had been captured by the Immortal Burying tribesmen, who had placed a restrictive spell on him and taken him as a slave. Although he had been reduced to a slave in the ancient heavenly court, his cultivation base had continued to rise. After 60,000 years, he was already a level 7 demolisher. It seemed like in order to win over True Flame, the 9 ancestors and 18 kings erased True Flame's mental restriction and restored his freedom. They made him a guest elder to continue working for the Celestial Burial Clan. There were many old monsters in the 9 realms that had become slaves to the Celestial Graveyard. True Flame Yen sneered at Ning Fan. As far as he knew, the Rain world had always been the weakest in the 9 worlds. Even though Ning Fan was at the 6-shatterer realm, it seemed like he had just achieved that breakthrough not too long ago. Therefore, his combat power should not be that high. As for Bright Sparrow, who had destroyed one of her cultivation bases, Master Yenjin didn't put her in his eyes at all. This little girl is not bad. She is full of primordial yin and can be used as a cauldron. Brat, hand this girl over to this seat, and this seat can leave your corpse intact. Before True Flame Yenjin's sneer ended, his eyes were filled with shock. However, Ning Fan did not have the intention to talk nonsense with him at all. He directly used the soul extraction technique and raised his cultivation base to the peak of the 7th Shatterer realm in an instant. He lifted a finger and pointed at the ground. An incomparably massive golden vortex appeared beneath the feet of True Flame Yenjin and the others. The dozens of experts of the Celestial Burial Clan were instantly sucked into the vortex. They let out miserable shrieks and turned into puddles of blood. As for True Flame Yen Zhen, both of his feet were trapped in the golden vortex. His body kept sinking. He could not get rid of the spatial vortex technique at all. A moment of carelessness and he was about to be killed by Ning Fan. When he looked into Ning Fan's eyes again, which were filled with monstrous baleful qi, True Flame Yen Zhen felt his knees go weak. Ning Fan's baleful qi was too strong. How many void fragmentation realm experts did he have to kill to obtain such a powerful baleful qi? Is he really a cultivator of the rain world? I didn't expect such a powerful devil lord to appear in the rain world today. Damn it. It wasn't easy for me to cultivate to the 7th Shatterer realm. How can I die here? I can't accept this. Between life and death, True Flame Yen Zhen's face turned pale. He gritted his teeth and shouted. If fellow Taoist is willing to show mercy, I am willing to let fellow Taoist plant a restriction on me and serve fellow Taoist as my master. Oh. You want to serve me as your master? Ning Fan's eyes flickered. One day, he would ascend to the immortal burial realm. If he ascends, the overall strength of the rain world would certainly be greatly reduced. If he could subdue some experts of the Celestial Burial Clan and bring them back to the rain world, it could increase the overall strength of the rain world. With that thought in mind, Ning Fan slowed down his hand seals. His spirit sense spread out like a tidal wave and went into True Flame Yen Zhen's sea of consciousness. Of course, he wanted to plant a sense restriction on True Flame Yen Zhen. True Flame Yen Zhen did not dare to resist. At this moment, he only wanted to live. Even if he has to become a slave, he would accept it. If he really had any backbone, he would not have become a slave of the Celestial Burial Clan in the first place. After planting the sense restriction, Ning Fan withdrew his vortex spatial technique and stood on the tip of the sword. He said coldly to True Flame Yen Zhen, "Come up and stand at the back. Don't be an eyesore." Yes. True Flame Yen Zhen let out a long sigh and leaped onto the tip of the sword. He stood at the hilt of the sword and did not dare to look at Ning Fan at all. As for the idea of keeping Bright Sparrow as his human cauldron, he no longer dared to think about it. Ning Fan tossed out a large amount of immortal jade and activated the ancient sword to fly again. At the same time, he asked Yen Zhen coldly, "Are you originally a cultivator of the fire world?" "Yes." "How many cultivators from the 9 realms like you are serving the deity burying clan?" "There are still 29 of them. All of them are at the void fragmentation realm and 22 of them are below the 5th fragmentation realm. Only those in the 5th demolisher level or higher will have their psychic hexes removed." "Is that so?" Ning Fan's eyes flashed. Those who had yet to dispel the mental restriction were not within the scope of his subjugation. Aside from Master True Flame, there were also 6 cultivators from the 9 realms who were at or above the 5 Shatterer stage. Ning Fan gave it another thought. Not necessarily only the cultivators of the 9 worlds could be subdued. If I encounter members of the Immortal Burial Clan who are above the 5 Break realm, what's the harm in subduing them all? Those who did not surrender would be killed. True Flame Child clenched his teeth and respectfully asked, "Is Master going to enter the 2nd Heaven realm from the 2nd Heaven gate?" "Yes." From the memories of the bald man, Ning Fan already knew that the heavenly gates of each level of the Heaven realm had been numbered by the Immortal Burial Clan. "You can't. I suggest Master to go to the 1st Heaven gate. Even though the 1st Heaven gate is slightly further away, it's slightly safer. The one guarding the 2nd Heaven gate is a peak 7th fragmentation realm old monster of the Immortal Burial Clan. He is proficient in the 5 elements technique and is very powerful," Master True Flame suggested. Now that Ning Fan had planted a psychic hexes on Master True Flame Child, he would die together with Ning Fan if Ning Fan dies. He and Ning Fan were locusts on the same rope. Both of them would rise or fall together. From his point of view, even though Ning Fan was powerful, he might not necessarily be able to defeat that peak 7th fragmentation realm old monster. Even if he could win, he would most likely suffer severe injuries. It was really not worth it. Now that the entire Immortal Burial clan was chasing after the foreign cultivators, if Ning Fan gets injured, he would naturally be in greater danger. There's no need to take a detour. Just go to the second heaven gate. You don't have to say much. What will you do if you want to face a strong enemy? I will kill a strong enemy for Master. Master True Flame sighed. It's good that you understand. Ning Fan gave Master True Flame a cold look. Without saying anything else, he activated the ancient golden sword and sped along the way. 4 days later, a huge heavenly gate that was as tall as the sky appeared above the sea of clouds. The heavenly gate was black and extremely ancient. However, it was exceptionally sturdy. If the immortal burying race did not open the gate, even a life immortal would not be able to break it. Hundreds of cultivators of the Immortal Burial clan were guarding outside the gate of heaven. Their cultivation levels were all above the Soul Formation realm. There were a total of 5 Void Fragmentation realm cultivators. 2 of them were at the 3rd Shattering realm, 1 was at the 4th Shattering realm and 1 was at the 5th Shattering realm. The last of them was at the peak of the 7th Demolisher level, and although he was emaciated, he glittered with the light of the 5 phases. This person's name was Lu Xiu, and he was considered one of the top figures in the Celestial Burial clan. He sat cross-legged on the ground with a 5-colored dagger axe beside him. When the golden sword light that Ning Fan rode approached them, all the members of the Immortal Burial clan raised their heads and roared at the sky. Outsider cultivator, kill! Lu Xiu suddenly grabbed the dagger axe and stood up. He raised the 5-colored dagger axe and sneered. Foreign cultivator, die. The 5-colored dagger axe slashed across the sky, splitting into 5 rays of blade light with different colors, aiming at Ning Fan's head. Ning Fan kept the escaping light of the ancient sword. Before he could make his move, Yan Zhen had already soared into the sky and blocked the 5-colored blade light. He was already Ning Fan's slave. Thus, he naturally needed to show his loyalty. Ning Fan's slightly threatening question was still echoing in his ears. If he encounters a strong enemy, he must fight for Ning Fan with all his might. Void technique, 10 direction vermilion birds. Yan Zhen stood in the sky and performed a hand seal with all 10 of his fingers. Countless flames flew out from his body, turning into the shadows of incomparably huge vermilion birds. These vermilion birds' bodies were condensed from flames. As soon as they appeared, they immediately collided with the 5-colored blade light, trying to destroy it. Lu Xiu's eyes flashed with anger. At this moment, how could he not see that Yan Zhen had already betrayed the Immortal Burial clan and become Ning Fan's slave? The light of the 5 elements revolved around his fingers. Then, he performed a hand seal and the 5-colored blade light immediately grew to 10,000 zhang in size. It swept across all directions and easily destroyed the vermilion bird's shadows. Lu Xiu pointed his finger again and the 5-colored blade light slashed at Yan Zhen. Yan Zhen gritted his teeth. His stomach bulged slightly and he opened his mouth to breathe out primordial spirit flames that filled the sky. His face quickly turned pale. Obviously, this technique consumed a lot of his energy. Under the burning of the primordial spirit flames, the golden blade light within the 5-colored blade light was incinerated. However, the remaining 4-colored blade light was not afraid of Yan Zhen's primordial spirit flames at all. It passed through the layers of walls of flames and instantly slashed at Yan Zhen's chest. Yan Zhen's eyes were filled with fear. Just as he was about to be killed by the blade light, a golden vortex suddenly appeared beneath his feet and saved him. At the next moment, a golden vortex appeared on the ancient sword out of nowhere. Yan Zhen staggered and appeared on the ancient sword, luckily escaping from this disaster. Thank you for saving me, Master. Yan Zhen's face revealed a complicated expression. Fire technique isn't something that you can use like this. Ning Fan did not use the soul-extracting incarnation technique. Instead, he only relied on his 6th destruction realm cultivation base and stepped into the sky. Every step he took was accompanied by life and death. Life and death follow each other. Master's Tao of life and death is actually so high. Yan Zhen was shocked. Oh. Life and death follow each other, huh? If I kill you and refine you into a pill, I wonder if it can improve my Tao of life and death. Lu Xiu let out a disdainful snort. He changed his hand seals and the golden blade light that had been incinerated reappeared in the sky. He raised his hand and pointed at Ning Fan. The five-colored blade light slashed at Ning Fan simultaneously. Master, you mustn't underestimate your enemy. This blade light is very powerful. Yan Zhen was a little worried. He knew that Ning Fan's combat power could be raised to the peak of the Seven Destruction Realm. However, at this moment, Ning Fan did not use his full combat power. He was only using his Sixth Destruction Realm cultivation base to resist the five-colored blade light. It seemed like a very arrogant action. Am I underestimating my enemy? Ning Fan looked at the incoming golden blade light and raised his hand to grab it. With just a grab, he crushed the golden blade light. With another grab, he crushed the fire blade light. With another grab, he crushed the water blade light. As for the remaining wood and earth blade light, they were all crushed by Ning Fan easily. After the five blade lights were destroyed, the dagger axe magic treasure returned to its original form and was easily caught by Ning Fan. With just a swipe of his palm, the power of the five elements within the dagger axe was completely destroyed. The power of this treasure was gone. Impossible. He is not at the seventh sky of Nirvana realm, how dare he grab the five elements saber light with his hands? Lu Xiu was shocked. Why? It was because Ning Fan possessed the minor five elements physique and it had already reached the great perfection realm. No one below the life immortal realm would be able to harm him using the five elements technique. If the cultivators here become my slaves, I can guarantee that they won't die. Ning Fan raised his hand and pointed at the heavenly gate. A wave of power of the five elements spread out from his body. Immediately, a small and massive barrier of the five elements appeared around the heavenly gate. This was an additional mystique that appeared after the completion of the minor five elements. Within this minor five elemental barrier, no one could use the five elemental abilities except for cultivators whose cultivation base was a few realms higher than Ning Fan's. Lu Xiu had spent his entire life studying the five elements, and most of his sacred arts were on the five elements. Being in the minor five elements barrier, almost all of Lu Xiu's divine abilities were sealed, and he was unable to use them. Five elemental spirit equipment, five elemental magical treasures, five elemental secret techniques. None of them could be used. He had cultivated a total of 5 nascent divinities, each of which occupied a different path. That was how he had reached the peak of the 7th Demolisher level. At this moment, in the small 5 elements barrier, his cultivation was being sealed bit by bit, and it continued to drop. 6th Heavenly Layer Void Fragmentation Realm, 5th Heavenly Layer, 4th Heavenly Layer, Minor 5 Elements Body. A perfected Lesser 5 Elements Constitution. At this moment, Lu Xiu was afraid. With his cultivation base at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm and ordinary abilities that he was not good at, it was impossible for him to defeat Ning Fan at all. Only death awaits him. He was proficient in the cultivation of the 5 elements. Against cultivators at the same level as him who only cultivated one element, he would definitely be able to defeat them. However, against someone like Ning Fan who could restrain all 5 elements, he had no chance of winning at all. To be a slave or to die, Lu Xiu was hesitating. However, Ning Fan did not give him too much time to consider. He directly pointed his finger at him. Countless golden whirlpools appeared above the sea of clouds. The immortal burial clan members who were sucked into the whirlpools died instantly. Those who did not die were intentionally killed by Ning Fan. He temporarily trapped them with the spatial vortex technique in an attempt to break Lu Xiu's psychological defense. Elder Lu, how can we, the members of the immortal burial clan, become the slaves of a mere foreign cultivator? Even if we die, we won't surrender. One of the 3 old monsters roared furiously. As soon as he finished speaking, he was already sucked into the golden whirlpools and died instantly. Lu Xiu's body shuddered. His face was filled with fear. If I don't surrender, will I end up like this person? Elder Lu, the 7 kings have done us a great favor. Even if we die, we won't betray the immortal burial clan. Am I right? One of the 4 old monsters laughed loudly at the sky. At the next moment, he was sucked into the golden whirlpools and died. Lu Xiu's face turned pale. His psychological defense was crumbling bit by bit. The screams of the members of the immortal burial clan did not arouse his courage. Instead, it aroused his fear. He was afraid. I surrender. Master, please plant a mental seal on me. From today onwards, I, Lu Xiu, am no longer a member of the immortal burial clan. I will only be Master's slave. Lu Xiu gritted his teeth and said. Very good. Ning Fan spread out his spirit sense and planted a mental seal in Lu Xiu's sea of consciousness, controlling his life and death. Then, he said to Lu Xiu coldly, you will kill all the enemy cultivators here alone. Lu Xiu's face turned pale. He clenched his teeth and said. Yes. Ning Fan removed the minor 5 elements barrier. Lu Xiu's cultivation base rose all the way to the peak 7th element breaking realm. His eyes glinted with ferocity. He made up his mind and shot out 5 colored rays of light from his eyes, turning all the cultivators here into ashes. After that, he kept all the storage pouches and Dao fruits and handed them to Ning Fan. There were still countless storage pouches and Dao fruits in Ning Fan's spatial vortex. However, there was no need for him to collect them in a hurry. The second person. Ning Fan muttered to himself. With a flick of his sleeve, he refined the blood essence of the corpses that littered the ground into beads of blood and sent them to Niali in his cauldron world. After keeping the ancient golden sword, Ning Fan and Ming Ke walked side by side to the heavenly gate. Behind them were Yan Zhen and Lu Xiu. Yan Zhen and Lu Xiu exchanged glances. Just a moment ago, the 2 of them were still fighting each other to the death. Now, however, they were both Ning Fan's slaves. The encounters in life really make one sigh endlessly. Ning Fan's gaze fell upon the black heavenly gate. He faintly felt that this gate gave him a strange feeling, but he could not tell why. He placed his palm on the heavenly gate and pushed it. However, he realized that he could not open the gate with his current strength. However, with the Void Sky token, it seemed like passing through this gate would be a piece of cake. The formation plate to open the second heavenly gate is in my hands. I will open the heavenly gate for Master now. Lu Xiu took out a formation plate from his sleeve. Just as he was about to activate it, he was stopped by Ming Quebec. Wait. There are treasures inside the heavenly gate. Brother Biscuit, take a closer look. There really are treasures inside the heavenly gate. Ming Ke returned to her pink and tender fists and punched the heavenly gate repeatedly. Of course, she could not shatter the heavenly gate. She revealed a frustrated expression and sighed. I can't take this treasure away. It's useless to me as well. Forget it. I don't want it anymore. Air. What kind of treasures can be inside the heavenly gate? Lu Xiu and Yan Zhen wore blank expressions. Ning Fan, on the other hand, frowned. Once again, he placed his palm on the heavenly gate and closed his eyes to sense it carefully. Previously, he already felt that the heavenly gate gave him a strange feeling. Now that Ming Ke had reminded him, he naturally wanted to investigate it carefully. Time passed by slowly. Ning Fan did not open his eyes, but his expression became more and more solemn. After a long time, he suddenly opened his eyes and raised his hand. The Emperor Xia's sword appeared in his hand. He displayed the myriad sword style and stood on the heavenly gate with his sword. This sword strike was extremely powerful. It was enough to instantly kill a cultivator at the 5th level of the destruction realm. Even a cultivator at the 6th level of the destruction realm would be severely injured. However, this sword strike only left an almost unnoticeable crack on the heavenly gate. Suddenly, a trace of black starlight flashed across the crack. At the next moment, the crack disappeared. Master, are you trying to shatter the heavenly gate? You should know that even a life-immortal realm expert can't shatter the heavenly gate. Yan Zhen and Lu Xiu shook their heads disapprovingly. At the next moment, their eyes were filled with shock. All of a sudden, Ning Fan's palm glowed with black star power and he grabbed the heavenly gate. As he grabbed, countless traces of stars immediately appeared on the heavenly gate. Then, a black star stone flew out from the heavenly gate. At the next moment, the heavenly gate that even a life-immortal realm expert could not shatter collapsed. It's broken. Master actually shattered the heaven gate. This. Master Flame Jinzi and Lu Xiu were shocked to the extreme. Even if the 9 ancestors and 18 kings were to join hands, they would not be able to shatter the heavenly gate. Could it be that Ning Fan's strength alone is above the 9 ancestors and 18 kings? Wow! Brother Biscuit, you're really powerful. Ming Kei stared at the black star stone in Ning Fan's hand. Her eyes sparkled like little stars. She could tell that this black star stone was a treasure. However, it seemed to be useless to her. What a pity, I didn't expect that there would be black star power left behind by the Heaven Sovereign in the heavenly gate. Ning Fan's eyes widened in surprise when he felt the boundless star power in the star stone in his palm. If he refines this black star stone, he would have at least 15 more natal stars. This black star stone was condensed from the Heaven Sovereign's star power. When the Heaven Court still existed, the Heaven Sovereign used his star power to form the heavenly gate. Even if the heavenly gate is attacked, it could heal itself. After the Heaven Court was destroyed, this gate still existed. However, no one could extract the star power from it. Even if they destroy this gate, they would not be able to extract it. Only those who have cultivated the Black Star technique could obtain the star power within it. In this era, Ning Fan was the only one who had cultivated the Black Star art in this world. Ning Fan made a rough calculation. There were 2 heavenly gates in the first level of the heaven world, 3 in the second level and 4 in the third level. Based on this calculation, there were a total of 560 heavenly gates from the first to the 32nd day. If there is a black star stone in each of the heavenly gates, with 560 black star stones, he could form a total of 8,400 natal stars. Currently, Ning Fan had formed 212 natal black stars. If he could obtain all the star stones in this place and refine them all, with 100 natal black stars, he could survive the joint attack of a void glimpse stage expert. With 1,000 natal black stars, he could survive the joint attack of a void glimpse stage expert. With 10,000 natal black stars, he could survive the joint attack of an ordinary life immortal realm expert. With 8,612 natal black stars, he could survive the joint attack of a rogue immortal realm expert. Brother Biscuit, are we going to the second level of the heaven world now? No. We are going to the first heavenly gate in the first level of the heaven world. Although it will take some time, if we can obtain enough black star stones, the difficulty of killing the 33 heavens will be greatly reduced. Chapter 677. 7 days later, Ning Fan annihilated the group of cultivators who were guarding the first heavenly gate and destroyed the heavenly gate, taking away the star stones. Another 15 days passed. The 3 heavenly gates of the second heaven realm were destroyed by Ning Fan one after another, and he subdued a 6th shattering realm slave. In another month, the 4 heavenly gates of the third heaven realm were destroyed, the 4th heaven realm, the 5th heaven realm, the 6th heaven realm. It had been a year since Ning Fan entered the ancient heavenly court. He had already reached the 12th level of the heaven realm. The 13 heavenly gates were destroyed by him one after another. Currently, he was cultivating at the first heavenly gate of this level. He already had 90 black star stones in his hand. There were already 7 servants behind him. Among them, Lu Xiu and Yan Zhen were at the 7 shattering realm, 3 of them were at the 6 shattering realm and 2 of them were at the 5 shattering realm. Among them, there were void fragmentation realm cultivators of the 9 worlds who had once surrendered to the immortal burial clan. There were also experts of the immortal burial clan. However, they were just considered as Ning Fan's slaves now. Along the way to the 12th level of the Heaven Realm, Ning Fan had killed more than 100 Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators of the Immortal Burial Clan. As for the Divine Transformation Realm and Void Refinement Realm cultivators, there were countless of them. Even so, the 9 ancestors and 18 kings of the Immortal Burial Clan did not show up to kill Ning Fan. However, it did not mean that they did not hold a grudge against Ning Fan. Brother Biscuit, can I ask you for a few slaves to search for treasures in the 12th level of the Heaven Realm? Ming Ke asked expectantly. In the 12th level of the Heaven Realm, there were many treasures but also more dangers. Other than the members of the Immortal Burial Clan, there were also demon beasts and devil beasts at the 5 Shattering Realm and 6 Shattering Realm. The current Ming Ke could not defeat ferocious beasts of this level. She looked at Lu Xiao and Yan Zhen with a smile, wanting to borrow them and bring them with her to search for treasures. After all, Ning Fan still needed to cultivate here, didn't he? Don't leave my side. If the 9 ancestors and 18 kings suddenly appear, they won't be able to protect you. Then lend me Big Head to play with. Ming Ke pleaded. Even Big Head might not be able to protect you. You're close to breaking through to the 2nd broken level, and you haven't finished eating the spirit herbs we found this time. There's no need to rush. The spirit herbs we found along the way are enough for you to eat. Oh. Ming Ke lowered her head and took out a potato-like spiritual herb and started chewing on it. It didn't take long for him to eat and drink to his heart's content. Feeling much better, he took out a jade mat and laid down on it, snoring away. Lu Xiao and the others were shocked when they saw Bright Sparrow eating the spiritual herbs raw. He thought to himself that Bright Sparrow's physical body was so terrifying that it could withstand the energy of the spiritual medicine directly. When he looked at Ning Fan again, he was even more shocked. At this moment, Ning Fan was devouring star stones one after another. The star power in his body was not released, but it was extremely vast. Ning Fan continuously made hand seals and refined the star stones according to the Traversing Star Palace's route recorded in the Cold Star secret record. The refining speed was naturally extremely fast. Master actually knows the cultivation star cultivation method, it's truly unbelievable. Lu Xiao and the others exclaimed in admiration. As the star stones were refined, the number of natal stars in his body gradually increased. 227, 242, 257, 272, as long as he refines all 90 star stones, the number of natal stars in Ning Fan's body would exceed 1,000. At that time, the injuries caused by the attack of the Shattering One cultivator would be healed instantly. 90 star stones. I still need a few days to fully refine all of them. Ning Fan closed his eyes and quietly refined the star power in his body. In each of the first 27 floors, there was a top-secret forbidden area. In each of the forbidden areas, one of the 9 ancestors and 18 kings was in seclusion. At this moment, the expressions of the 9 ancestors and 18 kings were dark and gloomy. According to the intelligence, a foreign cultivator had swept through the first 12 floors of the Heaven Realm. Most of the members of the Immortal Burial Clan who were sent to kill him were killed. Moreover, this person seemed to have great abilities as he destroyed all the heavenly gates of the 12th floor of the Heaven Realm. This person captured a total of 7 experts of the Immortal Burial Clan alive and made them his slaves. To the Immortal Burial Clan who regarded foreign cultivators as ants, this was a great humiliation. Lu Xiao actually betrayed us too. Damn it. I wasted a profound corpse pill to help him break through his cultivation level in the past. In the 12th floor of the Heaven Realm, the 7 kings were enraged. He could not wait to leave the Immortal Cave immediately to kill Ning Fan who was in the 12th floor of the Heaven Realm. However, the matter of resurrecting the primogenitor was too important for him to leave. His voice passed through the blood marks on the ground and reached the ears of the other ancestral kings. The other ancestral kings were enraged. They wished they could tear Ning Fan into pieces. Humph. A mere foreign cultivator actually dared to kill members of our Immortal Burial Clan and even made them his slaves. What a great humiliation. In the 19th floor of the heaven realm, the 9th ancestor said angrily. Third ancestor, there seems to be a rogue devil corpse devil above the 25th floor of the heaven realm, right? Why don't you send him out to kill that foreign cultivator? The 6th king suggested. Humph. That rogue devil corpse devil was injured by an unknown rogue immortal. He is currently recuperating in the corpse devil pool. He won't be able to fight for a while. The 3rd ancestor said angrily. What? A rogue immortal went up to the 25th floor of the heaven realm? The few ancestral kings were shocked. He didn't go up. He went down. That rogue immortal came from above the 28th floor. He might be a cultivator of the 4 heavens. The first ancestor who had been silent all this while suddenly spoke. Humph. So what if he's a cultivator of the 4 heavens? That rogue immortal has already reached the 15th floor. I raised a large number of void fragmentation realm demon beasts in this floor of the heaven realm, but they were all killed by him alone. How hateful. The 4 kings said angrily. These foreign cultivators are too hateful. If the ancestor of ancient Zhang wakes up, I will definitely ask him to kill all the foreign cultivators in this place. The 9 kings said coldly. These foreign cultivators won't be able to be arrogant for long. We just need to endure for another 10 years. 10 years later, when the ancestor wakes up, with his cultivation base at the quasi-emperor realm, who in the ancient heavenly court can be his match? 10 years. I just need to wait for another 10 years. After refining all of the star stones, the number of natal stars in Ning Fan's body had reached 1680. It was 18 stars more than what he had expected. Ning Fan exhaled a mouthful of murky qi and stood up. His eyes shone with starlight. The various injuries in his body were healing at a rapid speed. At this moment, he could even withstand the attacks of a group of cultivators without dying. Ming Ke stared at Ning Fan in a daze. She was so shocked that she could not close her mouth. She stood beside Ning Fan and noticed that a void fragmentation realm sword wound on his arm was healing at an astonishing speed. She could not help but grab Ning Fan's arm and bite it, leaving a small wound on his arm. Before the wound began to bleed, it had already healed itself in the blink of an eye. Not even a scar was left. She took another bite and the wound healed again. She took another bite and the wound healed again. Ning Fan looked at Ming Ke speechlessly. He patted her head and scolded her with a smile. Are you going to eat me like a spiritual herb? I can't bear to eat you. I'm just doing an experiment. Brother Biscuit, what kind of star technique is this? It's much more powerful than the cold star secret record that you gave me. I want to learn this. Ming Ke grabbed Ning Fan's arm and shook it, begging him. You won't be able to learn this technique. It was a complete coincidence that I was able to cultivate the black star technique. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, his brows suddenly knitted together. His heartbeat suddenly quickened without any warning. It was a sign that danger was approaching. He looked at the destroyed heavenly gate in silence. The danger was coming from the upper levels. However, the danger did not seem to be coming specifically for him. Ning Fan looked at Ming Ke beside him and remained silent for a while. Then, he took out the ancient golden sword and led everyone to the passage behind the heavenly gate, arriving at the 13th level of the heaven realm. When they arrived at this place, the sense of danger he felt became stronger. 1 month later, all the 14 heavenly gates of the 13th level of the heaven realm were destroyed. Ning Fan and his group arrived at the 14th level of the heaven realm. After killing a group of invading experts, Ning Fan obtained the map of the 14th level and flew towards one of the heavenly gates. The guards of this heavenly gate were 3 short old men at the 8th break realm. Other than the 3 old men, there were also thousands of experts of the immortal burial clan standing in a formation. The 3 old men stood at the peak of the sea of clouds, quietly waiting for Ning Fan's arrival. From the information they already knew, they knew that Ning Fan had the strange ability to destroy the heavenly gates. Thus, he was not to be underestimated. Every time Ning Fan arrived at a level of the heaven realm, he would definitely go to all the heavenly gates. As long as they wait here, Ning Fan would definitely come. If they see Ning Fan, they must kill him. At a certain moment, the three old men opened their sharp eyes. In the sky, a ray of golden sword light instantly traversed thousands of li and appeared outside the heavenly gates. On the sword light, there were Lu Xiao and the other 6 people who had surrendered. There was also Ming Ke, who was a foodie who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth while chewing on spiritual herbs. There was also a white-robed young man with cold eyes. At the moment when the sword light arrived, everyone's eyes were focused on the white-robed young man. The 3 of us are the subordinates of the 5 kings. Since you are already here, there's no need for you to leave. Get into formation. As soon as the 3 old men gave their orders, thousands of members of the Immortal Burial clan immediately held a gourd magic tool in their hands. The gourd emitted a towering corpse chi and formed a sinister formation diagram in the sky. Ning Fan and his group were at the center of the formation diagram. Not good. This is the corpse disintegration grand formation of the Immortal Burial clan. In ancient times, this formation was originally created by cultivators who wanted to disintegrate their corpses and become immortals. However, since ancient times, how many people could disintegrate their corpses and become immortals? Almost all those who are trapped in this formation will die. Lu Xiao and the others exclaimed in shock. The surroundings were filled with extremely dense corpse chi which contained boundless corpse poison. Even Lu Xiao and the other Immortal Burial clan experts who had cultivated corpse techniques did not dare to face this corpse chi head-on to resist this corpse poison. Corpse disintegration grand formation, huh? Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly solemn when he sensed the corpse chi that was spreading into the sky from the grand formation. If he had already completed the 3rd corpse transformation, he would have a small chance of becoming an immortal with the help of this formation. But now, if he falls into the formation diagram, he would certainly be in a situation where he would most likely die. The only way was to break this formation before it was completely formed. The key to this formation was the corpse chi formation. As long as the corpse chi is taken away, the formation would collapse on its own. Devour. Ning Fan opened his mouth and swallowed all the corpse chi that filled the sky into his stomach. The formation diagram beneath his feet gradually dimmed and eventually disappeared without a trace. The expressions of the thousands of Immortal Burial clan experts who laid out the formation changed at the moment the formation was broken. They suffered a heavy backlash and were forced to retreat in the vast sky. The eyes of the 3 Shattering Realm old men were gloomy, but they were not surprised. They did not expect to eliminate Ning Fan with just a formation in the first place. As expected, they still needed to do it themselves in order to kill Ning Fan. The 2 Shattering Realm old men on both sides remained silent. Each of them took a step back and performed hand seals with their 10 fingers. Their chi weakened rapidly and began to fall towards the 6th Shattering Realm. As for the 8 Shattering Realm old man in the middle, his aura force rose sharply and his cultivation base rose to the peak of the 8th Shattering Realm in an instant. All of you, retreat. I alone am enough to deal with this place. The old man stepped on the sea of clouds and walked towards Ning Fan step by step. He sneered. My surname is Chen. You must remember this and be an understanding ghost. Old man Chen's figure suddenly disappeared from his spot. At the next moment, he appeared beside Ming Ke. He grinned, revealing his white teeth. With his eyesight, he could already tell that Ming Ke was a pill devil. A pill devil was extremely beneficial to the resurrection of the 1st floor of the heaven realm. He began to understand why Ning Fan would attack the bald muscular man from the 1st floor of the heaven realm. That bald muscular man must have noticed Ming Ke's identity as a pill devil and wanted to snatch her away. That was why he was killed by Ning Fan. I won't stand on ceremony and accept this pill devil then. Old man Chen extended his large hand and grabbed Ming Ke who was beside him. At this moment, a golden vortex suddenly appeared beneath her feet and she disappeared without a trace in an instant. At the next moment, Ming Ke appeared in Ning Fan's arms. He gently put her down and shielded her behind his back. I didn't want to attack the Immortal Burial Clan at first. You have only yourself to blame for all of this. Attack. As soon as Ning Fan gave the order, Lu Xiao and the other 6 experts attacked at the same time. They summoned their magic treasures and attacked Old Man Chen. Old Man Chen's eyes flickered. With his current cultivation base, it was not easy for him to block the attacks from Lu Xiao and the other 6 experts at such a close distance. With a leap, he got off the ancient sword and increased the distance between them. Then, he raised his finger and pointed at them continuously, blocking the attacks from the 7 magic treasures one by one. Lu Xiao and the others also got off the ancient sword and controlled their magic treasures to fight against Old Man Chen. Old Man Chen's eyes turned cold. He grabbed at the clouds and shouted. Evil creatures, why are you still not coming out to help us? As soon as he gave the order, a 30,000 zhang giant toad suddenly flew out from the lower layer of the Sea of Clouds. The toad's cultivation base had already reached the peak of the 8th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. It was only a step away from attaining the 9th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Old Man Chen leaped backwards and stood on the giant toad's body. He stared coldly at Lu Xiao and the others and ordered. Cooperate with me and use the corrosive killing technique. Do you hear me? Roar! The giant toad let out a loud roar as a response to Old Man Chen's request. Old Man Chen performed hand seals with all 10 of his fingers. The corpse chi around his body rose rapidly. The giant toad opened its mouth and breathed out a poisonous mist that covered the sky. When the corpse chi and the poisonous mist fused, Old Man Chen's hand seals suddenly changed. An extremely terrifying aura force shot out from his eyes. Immortal technique, corrosive killing technique. The dark green light suddenly dispersed. All of a sudden, Lu Xiao and the others showed a look of despair. Immortal technique. Immortal technique. Even if the 7 of them used their full strength, they would not be able to block this immortal technique. All 7 of them looked at Ning Fan. From their point of view, if there was anyone in this place who could block this immortal technique, it would most likely be Ning Fan. After all of Ning Fan's abilities were world-shocking. He most likely had some trump cards that could block this immortal technique. Hee hee. People who are about to die, remember that my surname is Chen. Old Man Chen sneered. He sat cross-legged on the head of the toad, waiting for Ning Fan and the others to be corroded to death by the corrosive poison. Ning Fan's hand was already placed on the devil's sealing pouch. Both Old Man Chen and this giant toad were not people he could defeat. Big head, do it. I'm not big head. A devil roar suddenly swept across the vast sky. The green light that filled the sky was instantly shattered. A cloud of devil mist soared into the sky, turning into a gigantic devil creature. A rogue devil. The rogue devil blew a huge breath and all the poisonous mist that filled the sky was blown away. His cold gaze swept across Lu Xiao and the others. Then, it scanned through the cultivators of the Immortal Burying Clan. Finally, it stopped at Old Man Chen and the giant toad. Lu Xiao and the others were both surprised and delighted. Their master really has a way to block the immortal technique. A rogue devil. It's actually a rogue devil. Their master has actually taken a rogue devil as his slave. Even a rogue devil is Ning Fan's slave. Being Ning Fan's slaves is really not that bad. What? It's actually a rogue devil. Not good. Old Man Chen's face was filled with shock. In the next moment, he was already severely injured by the rogue devil's punch. Why are you so shocked? Are you really surprised to see my head getting bigger? Puff! Old Man Chen suffered a furious punch from the rogue devil. His primordial spirit was nearly shattered. He lost his balance and fell off the toad's head. His body was invaded by the rogue devil's devil mist. His chi could not recover within a short period of time and he could not use any magic power. Blink. 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 He took out a jade slip and was about to crush it. It was a teleportation jade slip. It could teleport 1 billion li away instantly. It was a supreme treasure for escaping. The rogue devil sneered and threw a punch, directly shattering Old Man Chen's jade slip and inflicting another serious injury on him. After the 2 punches landed, Old Man Chen was already on the verge of death. He looked at the rogue devil who was approaching him step by step with extreme fear. He wanted to escape but he could not use any magic power. The loose demon grabbed Old Man Chen in his hand and looked at him very seriously. He asked solemnly, "Tell me, isn't my head big?" I don't know, motherfucker. How dare you say you don't know? Bang! Old Man Chen was an 8-shatter realm expert of his generation. He had even used a secret technique to raise his cultivation base to the peak of the 8-shatter realm. However, he was smashed into a mist of blood by the rogue devil. At the moment when the rogue devil attacked Old Man Chen, Ning Fan had already ordered Lu Xiao and the others to surround and kill the remaining members of the Zhangxian clan. The 2 old men at the 8-shatter realm had already used a secret technique. Their cultivation base had already fallen to the 6th shatter realm. To Lu Xiao and the others, it was not difficult to kill them. He did not kill them himself. Instead, he stayed by Ming Kei's side to protect her. There was always a hint of uneasiness in his heart. That uneasiness was telling him not to leave Ming Kei's side. "Master, what should we do with this little frog? Should we roast it and eat it?" With just a punch, the rogue devil knocked the giant toad to the ground and asked Ning Fan. That giant toad's body was trembling when it faced the rogue devil. It looked at Ning Fan with fear and let out a few low roars. Its roars seemed to be saying that it was willing to submit to Ning Fan and beg him to spare its life. Without saying a word, Ning Fan spread out his spirit sense and planted a demon seal on the toad. He had subdued this unusually ferocious giant beast. On the other side, Lu Xiao and the others had also killed the thousands of members of the Zhangxian clan. Among the 2 old men at the 8-shatter realm, one of them would rather die than surrender and was killed. The other one was willing to submit and Ning Fan planted a mental seal on him. Even when he was planting the mental seal, Ning Fan still maintained his full vigilance. He could sense that an enemy was lurking not far away from him. That enemy was the source of his uneasiness. "Master, this subordinate is truly convinced by you this time. You can even subdue a rogue devil as your servant." "That's a rogue devil." Lu Xiao and the others were amazed. Rogue devil old monsters were all on the same level as the 9 ancestors and 18 kings. Such people were naturally arrogant. If it wasn't because they had no other choice, why would they be willing to be someone else's slave? Ning Fan was really too powerful to be able to subdue a rogue devil. Ning Fan just casually responded to the compliments and flattery from the crowd. His eyes coldly scanned the surroundings. All of a sudden, his heart was filled with warning signs. He quickly rode the ancient golden sword and flew 10,000 zhang away with Bright Sparrow. At the place where he was originally standing, a middle-aged rogue immortal appeared. He looked at Ning Fan with a hint of surprise. "Oh, what a vigilant kid. Moreover, you can even subdue a rogue devil as your servant. No wonder you could turn the immortal burial clan upside down." At the next moment, the middle-aged rogue immortal's killing intent was suddenly revealed. "However, if you want to go against my pill sect, these are still not enough. Hand over the pill devil behind you and I can spare your life. I will only give you 3 breaths of time to consider. These 3 breaths of time are all thanks to your rogue devil. However, if you really provoke me, I won't need to spend too much effort to kill you." This rogue immortal was from the Pill sect. His target was Bright Sparrow. Chapter 678. It was a middle-aged loose immortal in alchemy robes. He had a skinny face and a harsh and merciless smile. He was from the Dan sect and his name was Chang Shan. He had entered the Heaven Court to collect ghosts and bring back Bright Sparrow. Chang Shan looked at Bright Sparrow who was behind Ning Fan and licked his lips. Then, he looked at Ning Fan and sneered without saying a word. The reason why he gave Ning Fan 3 breaths of time to consider and did not attack him right away was just because he was slightly afraid of Ning Fan's rogue devil. Apart from the scattered devil, who was somewhat difficult to deal with, there was no one else here that Chang Shan would take seriously. If not for the rogue devil, Chang Shan was confident that he could kill everyone here within 10 breaths. Even if there was a loose demon here, Chang Shan still had a way to kill everyone here, including the loose demon. However, in order to do so, he would need to use some trump cards. If it was not necessary, Chang Shan did not want to rashly use his trump card. If Ning Fan is sensible enough to hand over Ming Ke, he would be able to save himself a lot of trouble. People of the Pill sect, huh? Ning Fan's face darkened. The person who schemed against Bright Sparrow back then was the sect leader of the alchemy sect. It was obvious that Chang Shan was sent by the sect leader of the alchemy sect. If he didn't take Bright Sparrow away, he wouldn't give up. As for Ning Fan, it was impossible for him to push Bright Sparrow into the fire pit and hand her over to this person. Biscuit brother. For the first time in her life, Bright Sparrow revealed an expression of fear. He wasn't afraid of Chang Shan, the Pill sect, or the Pill sect sect master. That fear came from the depths of his soul. She was an alchemy devil created by the alchemy sect master. There seemed to be a voice in her soul that was bewitching her, telling her not to go against the alchemy sect. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Lucius, take these men and stand down. Big head, attack. Ning Fan did not think about whether to hand over Ming Ke or not. He directly used his actions to tell Chang Shan his decision. Lu Xiao and the others retreated to the side with the toad and the old man. The rogue devil pointed at the sparrow arrogantly and spat at Chang Shan. Do you know who she is? She is my master's wife, my mistress. If this old man's master is really a coward and hands mistress over to her, wouldn't he be wearing a big green hat? Even this old man will lose face. You want to take my mistress away? Ask my fist first. As soon as the scattered demon's voice fell, Chang Shan's eyes suddenly turned cold. His figure instantly disappeared and reappeared in front of the scattered demon. With a point of his finger, tens of thousands of illusory pills immediately appeared. All the pill phantoms exploded in an instant, forming a destructive magic power storm that engulfed the loose devil. You talk too much and are full of loopholes. You're going to die. Chang Shan said disdainfully. As a loose devil, his intelligence was actually so poor. He even dared to spout nonsense when facing the enemy. It was truly laughable. In a true life and death battle, there was no time for nonsense. He did not see the moment the loose devil was engulfed by the storm of magic power. He revealed a treacherous smile. A series of explosions rang out in the sky. The explosions were enough to instantly kill a cultivator of the 8 shattering realm. On the surface, it seemed like the rogue devil was definitely going to die after being ambushed by Chang Shan when he was defenseless. Suddenly, a huge skull made of black mist flew out of the storm and swallowed Chang Shan in one gulp. Chang Shan's eyes widened as he was swallowed by the rogue demon. Ha! Do you think I'll leave an opening for you? Who do you think I am? Refine. The skull laughed loudly. It forcefully activated the devil mist in its body, trying to refine and kill Chang Shan in one go. I have underestimated you. Devil extermination pill. Chang Shan, who was inside the skull, took out a golden pill and swallowed it. It was a peak 7th revolution pill called the devil extermination pill. The moment he swallowed the pill, his body suddenly grew to 50,000 zhang in size. He forcefully broke through the skull's mouth and broke free. Chang Shan's body shone with a dazzling golden light. Golden armor covered his body, making him look like a golden-armored heavenly god. The skull let out a muffled groan and turned into black mist that dissipated. Then, it condensed into a huge devil with 2 horns. A trace of black blood flowed out from the corner of its mouth. The loose devil let out a cold snort. Its body grew to 50,000 zhang in size and confronted Chang Shan from afar. Ning Fan's eyes turned extremely solemn at that moment. Devil Extermination Pill. An auxiliary-type pill. The effect of the pill was to give the user a trace of Devil Extermination Golden Light within 2 hours. When Chang Shan first appeared, his strength was just slightly stronger than the Rogue Devil. However, after consuming the pill, his strength was already 30% higher than the Rogue Devil. When the pill cultivators of the Pill Ancestor realm fight, they would usually consume a large number of auxiliary pills to increase their strength. If one thinks that the pill refinement masters of the Four Heavens were weak, then they would be gravely mistaken. Void Technique, Divine Pill Rain. Chang Shan sneered and pointed at the Rogue Devil. Immediately, countless golden raindrops fell from the sky. If one takes a closer look, they would realize that each of the golden raindrops was a pill of a high grade. The Rogue Devil looked at the sky full of pill rain with a solemn expression. However, he did not show any fear. He had even fought against a Life Immortal Realm expert before. Why would he be afraid of Chang Shan? Alright, even though he was just a bystander in the battle between the Life Immortal Realm experts, the Rogue Devil channeled all of his devil chi into his fist. Without saying a word, he threw hundreds of punches at the sky, shattering the golden pill rain one after another. Pill slash. Chang Shan's eyes suddenly turned cold. Countless golden pill rain that was shattered suddenly condensed into a gigantic golden sword light. With an unbelievable speed, the sword slashed the Rogue Devil into half. The Rogue Devil is dead. Lu Xiao and the others were so shocked that their faces turned pale. Isn't this Chang Shan a little too powerful? He can even kill a loose devil. Nonsense. How can I die so easily? The two halves of the Rogue Devil suddenly dispersed into devil mist and reformed into a giant devil body. Although he refused to show any weakness, his body was indeed injured by the Dao pill. This medicine jar is really powerful. The Rogue Devil murmured in his heart. Oh. He's still alive. This Rogue Devil is really out of my expectation. He's much more powerful than the one from the Immortal Burial Clan. In that case, I'm afraid I'll have to use more pills to win. Fire Suppressing Pill, Battle Pill. At the same time, Chang Shan took out 2 peak 7th Revolution pills and consumed them. In an instant, his magic power increased by 30% and his body was filled with fire chi. At this moment, he could almost defeat the Rogue Devil with his strength. Immortal Technique, Fire Refining Starry Sky. Chang Shan calmly pointed his finger. The sky within 10 million miles was instantly set ablaze. Hundreds of burning meteorites fell on the Rogue Devil's head. His expression changed drastically. If he was hit by these meteorites, he would be severely injured even if he was not burned to ashes. Damn it! This medicine jar is really against the rules. After consuming the medicine, his strength is much stronger than mine. The Rogue Devil gritted his teeth. He infused his devil chi into his fist and threw hundreds of punches at the sky. This time, he only managed to shatter half of the meteorites. He did not have the strength to shatter the remaining half. Not good. I'm going to be hit. Just as the Rogue Devil was about to turn into devil mist to reduce his injuries, a golden sword light suddenly flashed in front of him. It was Ning Fan and Ming Quebec. Without saying a word, Ning Fan raised his hand and summoned a 30,000 zhang tall monument. The power of the giant monument was only at the 5 destruction realm. However, it was born to be the nemesis of fire. Thus, it was naturally not afraid of these ordinary burning meteorites. The giant monument smashed through all the meteorites in the sky and turned them into ashes. He then made another hand seal and all the sea of fire within 10 million li was absorbed into the monument. After that, Ning Fan calmly kept the monument shadow and looked at Chang Shan with a solemn expression, as if he was making a decision. This Chang Shan is very powerful. The Rogue Devil is no match for him, master. The Rogue Devil was stunned. He was saved by Ning Fan once again, oh. You can withstand my incomplete immortal technique? Chang Shan revealed a surprised expression. Then, he sneered. It seems like you are going to attack me together with this rogue devil. If that's the case, I really have to use my final trump card. I originally didn't want to consume this pill. Chang Shan took out a low grade 8 revolution pill and swallowed it. The moment he swallowed it, his body suddenly split into two. Low grade 8 revolution shadow cracking pill. It could split a shadow of the same grade from his body to assist him. This pill was also effective for life immortal realm cultivators. However, this pill also had a weakness. If the main body dies, the shadow would naturally die as well. After all, the shadow was not the real second primordial spirit. One Chang Shan turned into two Chang Shans. One Chang Shan was enough to crush the rogue devil. With two Chang Shans here, who could survive? Lu Xiao and the others revealed a look of despair. They knew that there was no way for them to survive today. It was already impossible for them to betray and surrender to Chang Shan now. After all, Ning Fan had planted a mental seal on them. If he dies, they would certainly die. How could they surrender? Master, we can't defeat him. I have a secret technique of the Devil Dao that can activate the speed of a life immortal realm expert for a short period of time. I'll bring all of you out of this place. The rogue devil gritted his teeth and transmitted his voice to Ning Fan. If Ning Fan dies, he would also die. Naturally, he wanted Ning Fan to live for a long time. Ning Fan shook his head and rejected the rogue devil's suggestion. We can't escape. Since this person could find Ming Ke all the way here, he probably has some methods to track her whereabouts. We can escape today. However, after we get out of the ancient heavenly court, we will still be entangled by the Pills sect. Unless Ning Fan hands Ming Ke over to the Pills sect, only then can this disaster be resolved. However, Ning Fan would never do such a thing. Moreover, he still had to go to the 33 heavens. If he escapes from the ancient heavenly court just like that, how could he revive Mu Weiliang? He will not escape. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. He seemed to have made up his mind. Si Wuxia had told him to rush up to the 33 heavens regardless of everything. Today, he must do it without any hesitation. He locked his killing intent on one of the two Chang Shans. That person was Chang Shan's true body. As long as I kill this person, I will be considered to have passed this tribulation. Oh. Look at your eyes. Do you still want to resist me? The eyes of the two Chang Shans turned grim at the same time. They were about to attack and kill Ning Fan. At the next moment, the expressions of the two Chang Shans changed greatly. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and the Emperor Xia sword appeared in his hand. He held the golden sword in his hand. What floated around his body was no longer golden sword intent but layers of blood-red light. His physical body seemed like it was about to turn into specks of dust and dissipate. His eyes, however, were filled with madness. An extremely terrifying blood-red sword light was brewing on Ning Fan's sword. Chang Shan did not know what kind of sword technique Ning Fan was using. He faintly felt that if he uses this sword technique, he would certainly die. With this young man's cultivation base, it's impossible for him to use such a terrifying sword technique. He must have to pay a huge price to use this sword technique. He wants to perish together with me. He's just a pill devil. Why would he go to this extent just to protect a pill devil? Hold on. I remember now. The Bing Jie sect. It's the Bing Jie sect. Chang Shan's face suddenly turned pale. The name of an extremely crazy sword sect suddenly appeared in his mind. The Bing Jie sect was a sword sect in the Western Heaven Immortal world. Its sect master's cultivation base was just at the Transcending Truth realm. However, even the cultivators from the Shedding Void realm would not dare to provoke the Bing Jie sect. If the sect master of the Bing Jie sect disintegrates his soul and condenses it into sword light, he would be able to kill his enemies with a single slash. Every time the war between the four heavens and the demon spirit land took place, the disciples of the Bing Jia sect would always rush to the front lines. They would self-destruct their physical bodies in a suicidal attack to kill the experts of the demon race. Tens of thousands of disciples of the Bing Jia sect would self-destruct their physical bodies at the same time. That kind of terrifying scene had once shocked Chang Shan. He recognized it. Ning Fan's sword technique was very similar to the sword technique of the Bing Jia sect. Ning Fan was really going to self-destruct and perish together with him. I'm here. Step back. A slightly dissatisfied female voice suddenly resounded beside Ning Fan's ears. The fragrance of the lady entered Ning Fan's nose. It was actually very familiar. The lady's delicate palm was placed on Ning Fan's hand that was holding the sword. She slowly calmed the chaotic sword qi in his body. She wore white robes that were spotless and her face was covered with a light veil. Suddenly, she looked at Chang Shan coldly and waved her sleeve at him. Her seemingly soft sleeve suddenly traveled across a great distance. Like a falling mountain, it crushed Chang Shan's shadow with a single strike. She waved her long sleeve and pointed at Ning Fan with a gentle finger. Her index finger was as green as a spring onion, but it seemed to contain boundless power. A ray of 7-colored finger light touched Chang Shan's chest. Chang Shan's expression immediately changed. At the next moment, he was sent flying backwards while coughing out blood. He stared at the lady in white with extreme shock. Kunlun Jade Pool. Damn it. This young man actually has such a strong reinforcement. If that's the case, I can only retreat temporarily and wait for an opportunity. Chang Shan forcefully swallowed the blood in his throat. Then, he took out a silver pill and swallowed it in one go. In an instant, his body turned into a ray of silver light and fled far away. His speed was infinitely close to that of a life immortal. No one here could catch up with him. He did not escape from the ancient heavenly court. Instead, he found a secluded place to heal his injuries before plotting to capture the Pill Devil. He might not be a match for the lady in white, but if he could take the Pill Devil by surprise and escape, his chances of success were still very high. We're saved. Who is that fairy? She's so beautiful. Lu Xiao and the others widened their eyes. They could sense an inviolable, sacred beauty from the woman in white. She wouldn't allow anyone to blaspheme or insult her. She had an innate dignity that stood above millions of people. She stood aloof from the world, far away from the world. No man could touch her. Cece. Aren't you in the 33 heavens? Why did you come to the lower heaven realm? Ning Fan was stunned and looked at the lady in white. That lady was Si Wuxie. She was supposed to unseal the undying tree in the 33 heavens, but she came to the lower heaven realm. You've already stirred up great chaos in the immortal burial clan. If I didn't come, what should I do if you die in the hands of the 9 ancestors and 18 kings? Si Wuxie's tone was cold and unapproachable. This time, she came to the lower heaven realm with her clone. However, this clone had the cultivation base of a half-step life immortal. Are you worried about me so you came to help me? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Don't misunderstand. I just don't want you to die. After all, you're the key to resurrecting her. Why aren't you leaving? With me following you this time, you should be able to reach the 33 heavens earlier. Si Wuxie's tone sounded impatient, but her eyes were filled with surprise. She didn't expect that he had already broken through to the 6th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm after just a few decades. Eh? Who is this sister? Is she also Brother Biscuit's confidant? Ming Ke looked at Ning Fan with a smile. Don't talk nonsense. I no longer have any relationship with him. Si Wuxie's eyes were cold. She glanced at Ming Ke indifferently and frowned. Pill Devil physique, immemorial Dark Sparrow's blood. This little girl in front of me isn't simple. Did that rogue immortal of the Pill sect come to snatch this little girl? Did he offend the Pill sect again? He really knows how to cause trouble, This is also my mistress. I never thought that I would have such a powerful mistress. The rogue immortal was shocked. He knew how powerful Chang Shan was. Even someone as powerful as Chang Shan was repelled by Si Wuxia after using all his means. Moreover, this Si Wuxia seemed to be just a clone. How strong is her true body? Master is too capable. He even dares to accept such a powerful woman. Chapter 679. Ning Fan and Ming Ke stood side by side on the tip of the ancient golden sword. Si Wuxia stood alone at the side, letting her hair flutter in the wind. She occasionally stroked her hair with a cold expression, not giving Ning Fan any chance to get close to her. Behind the ancient sword was a giant toad. Lu Xiao and the other void fragmentation experts were sitting on the back of the toad, following closely behind the ancient sword. The speed of the ancient sword was comparable to a rogue immortal. The toad couldn't catch up. The rogue devil revealed an impatient expression. He waved his hand, rolling up waves of devil mist. He carried the toad, Lu Xiao, and the others and chased after the ancient sword. Along the way, he kept flattering Ning Fan. Master, can you teach me some secret techniques? What secret? Ning Fan's eyelids twitched slightly and asked in surprise. The secret of capturing the hearts of women. He. Master has so many women. I think you must know this very well. Please teach me some of your experiences. The rogue devil rode on the devil mist and rubbed his hands with a wretched expression. He thought that if he learned Ning Fan's secret technique of picking up girls, with his ability, he would be able to woo a fate immortal girl in the future. Perhaps, Ning Fan would be threatened by the fate immortal girl and return his freedom. On the path of cultivation, one must be courageous and diligent. However, if one is tired of struggling, finding a good woman and saving him tens of thousands of years of struggle was also a good choice. Ning Fan looked at the rogue devil speechlessly. How could he not see through the devil's thoughts? They were all written on his face. He shook his head and didn't answer the devil's question. He didn't have any technique of picking up women. To be honest, not all the women under his protection had deep feelings for him. For example, the female guards, Nailan Zi, and the other women. This was a chaotic world. It wasn't a beautiful world for scholars and beauties. Many women admired Ning Fan because he gave them a sense of security. With Ning Fan around, they wouldn't have to lead a wandering life. This was the love of a chaotic world. Master, don't be so stingy. Just teaching me a little is enough for me to enjoy for the rest of my life. Mistress, please help me put in a good word. The rogue devil looked at Si Wuxia with a flattering expression. His words triggered the coldness in Si Wuxia's eyes. What did you call me? Mistress. Boom. Si Wuxia waved her sleeves and the rogue devil was sent flying while coughing blood. The scattered devil trembled in fear. He was not Si Wuxia's opponent at all. I don't know what I said wrong to anger this new mistress, Sai. It's better to be careful with my words, lest I say something wrong and get killed by this new mistress. The loose devil obediently shut his mouth and silently flew away. Lu Xiao and the rest were trembling. They were all shocked by Si Wuxia's strength. Sending a rogue devil flying was as easy as sending a mortal child flying. This woman was truly terrifying, as expected of their mistress. Thus, each of the old monsters looked at Ning Fan's back with admiration. Ning Fan felt uneasy, as if there was a blade on his back. This group of Xiao slaves you took in, none of them are serious. However, with their help, breaking the seal on the tree of immortality will be much faster, and I will be much more relaxed. Si Wuxia frowned and asked. Are you really going to destroy every level of the gate of heaven? The heavenly gates of the 14th floor of the heaven realm were destroyed one after another. When Si Wuxia saw that Ning Fan was able to destroy the heavenly gates, she was also surprised. Seeing that Ning Fan could obtain benefits from the heavenly gates, she was also surprised. And, these star stones are useful to me. By the way, Cici, your complexion doesn't seem to be very good. Did something happen to the true body above the four heavens? Ning Fan looked at Si Wuxie with some concern. He noticed that Si Wuxie's face was a little pale. He wanted to use the mind-reading technique, but he couldn't see through her mind. After all, her true body was an immortal expert. I don't need you to care about my matters. Si Wuxie's eyes were slightly evasive, but there was a trace of indescribable warmth in her heart. Ning Fan was concerned about her. Si Wuxie didn't tell Ning Fan that her true body above the four heavens was currently facing the great heavenly tribulation of the void-shedding realm. The great heavenly tribulation of an immortal was extremely terrifying. Even the strongest old monsters didn't have absolute confidence that they could pass the great heavenly tribulation. Si Wuxie's tribulation this time wasn't going smoothly because she needed to create a clone to help Ning Fan search for the undying tree in the mortal world. Even if she could pass this tribulation, her true body would suffer a lot of injuries. Her foundation might even be damaged by the great heavenly tribulation. However, Si Wuxie naturally wouldn't tell Ning Fan about this. You don't need me to care about you. What if I insist? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Wait until your cultivation base is strong enough to care about me, then you can say this. Si Wuxie frowned and closed her eyes, no longer paying attention to Ning Fan. All right. Ning Fan smiled faintly and no longer said anything. Ming Ke was nibbling on an apple-shaped 100,000 years old spiritual herb while looking at Ning Fan and Si Wuxie with a smile. Occasionally, she would reveal an ambiguous smile, but no one knew what she was thinking about. After summoning the rogue devil and with Si Wuxie's help, there was no longer any danger for Ning Fan in the 33 heavens without the 9 ancestors and 18 kings. Of course, if it wasn't necessary, Si Wuxie didn't like to take action. 2 years had passed. Ning Fan had traveled all the way to the 32 heavens and destroyed all the heavenly gates. There were already 17 cultivators and a toad behind him. Among the 17 cultivators, other than Lu Xiu and Yan Zhen who were at the 7-break realm, there were 3 more 7-break realm cultivators. There were also 2 8-break realm cultivators, 6 6-break realm cultivators and 4 5-break realm cultivators. With so many experts, all of them had become Ning Fan's slaves. It wasn't hard to imagine how terrifying the overall strength of the Rain World would be if he were to bring these experts back to the Rain World. He had already obtained all the star stones for the first 32 heavens. Along the way, the corpse chi in his body had also grown to a point where it could no longer grow. In the 29th level of the heaven world, Ning Fan discovered the place where the sect master of the Pills sect kept raising ghosts. This place was connected to the demon sinister forest. Looking at the demon sinister forest, Ning Fan's eyes flashed. This place was connected to the Rain World. He did not want to leave a passage in the ancient heavenly court that would directly connect to the Rain World. Even if the passage was blocked by the realm-breaking light. Ning Fan ordered Lu Xiu and the others to use the secret technique of the Immortal Burying Clan to destroy this ghost-raising grand formation. If the sect master of the Pills sect suspects it in the future, he would only think that it was the Immortal Burying Clan who destroyed his ghost-raising formation. He would not suspect Ning Fan at all. The spoils of war that he had obtained from the hundreds of battles were innumerable. There were more than 7 million Dao crystals. Currently, the number of Dao crystals in Ning Fan's body was already close to 11 million. Unfortunately, he was already at the 6-break realm. Every time he refined 160 Dao crystals, he could only increase his magic power by 1 yuan. It would be a pure waste for him to devour these Dao crystals. It could only increase his magic power by 70,000 yuan. If he leaves them to the ladies of 7 Apricot City, it would be the best choice. Unfortunately, even if Ning Fan devours the Void Fragmentation Realm Dao fruits now, the effect would be minimal. These Dao fruits would also be left to the ladies. Now that his cultivation base had reached the 6-break realm, it was really not easy for him to continue improving. The 9 heavenly layers of the Void Fragmentation Realm were easy at the beginning and the cultivation speed was extremely fast. However, it would become extremely slow towards the end. This was the reason why the Rain Sovereign was stuck at the 5-break realm. It was also the reason why countless sovereigns of the 9 worlds were stuck at the 5-break realm and the reason why rogue immortals were so rare. In the lower worlds, there were almost no high-grade 7th Revolution pill refinement masters. However, only those whose pill refinement mastery has reached the high-grade 7th Revolution could concoct pills that could increase the cultivation base of the 6-break realm. Perhaps it would be easier for him to continue improving his cultivation base after he ascends to the upper worlds, or perhaps, if he has enough void fragmentation realm cauldrons. Ning Fan could not help but think of the blood slave garden. However, he quickly erased the thought from his mind. It was because they had already arrived at the 33rd floor of the heaven realm. The last heavenly gate of the 32 heavens was destroyed by Ning Fan, revealing the light path passage behind the heavenly gate. After flying through the passage, Ning Fan and his group appeared in the 33 heavens. Ning Fan's eyes widened as he scanned the surrounding scenery with his spirit sense. The scenery here is so familiar. So familiar, when he was still a butterfly, he had been here before. The continents here were smashed into smithereens. On the ground, there were still traces of terrifying battles in the past. There were gigantic palm prints that stretched for tens of thousands of li, skeletons of ferocious beasts that were 1 million zhang in size and countless blood pools that had dried up long ago filled with the blood of fallen ancient immortals. A hint of sorrow and hatred flashed across Si Wuxia's clear and cold eyes unnoticeably. Those emotions belonged to the daughter of the former heavenly emperor, Mu Weiliang. It was the first time for Lu Xiao and the others to come to the 33 heavens. Even in the immortal burying clan, no one dared to go to the 33 heavens. The heaven realm above the 27th floor was listed as a forbidden area by the 9 ancestors and 18 kings. Looking at the traces of terrifying battles on the ground, the group of old monsters could not help but feel astonished even though they had tens of thousands of years of experience. Obviously, the area above the 33 heavens was the main battlefield where the heavenly court was destroyed in the past. It was hard for them to imagine what kind of terrifying battle had taken place in this place to leave behind such shocking ruins. The memories I obtained are very vague. I don't remember how the heavenly court was destroyed. Do you remember? Si Wuxia looked at Ning Fan seriously for the first time, as if she was eager for a satisfactory answer. I don't know. He did not tell Si Wuxia about immortal Emperor Zhang Qing killing the heavenly emperor. If she knew about it, she might feel sad. After all, she was once one of Mu Weiliang's 7 spirits. Is that so? Let's go. We'll head east until we reach the ruins of Liangchen Palace. Then, we'll find the Tree of Immortality. Si Wuxia pointed in a direction. Ning Fan rode the ancient sword and dashed forward at full speed. The rogue devils and the others followed behind him. When the demon beasts they encountered along the way saw this majestic group of experts, they all prostrated themselves on the ground, not daring to attack recklessly. Ning Fan did not say much. He just looked at the broken walls and ruins, feeling shocked. I've been here before. I've been here before. He closed his eyes, recalling the remnant dream he had in the samsara. He was a butterfly. A butterfly that only had the ambition to ascend to the heavens. He tried to fly to the heavenly court time and time again, but he failed again and again. Finally, one day, he managed to fly up but his life was gone. It was Mu Weiliang who saved him and brought him to live a short and peaceful life in the heavenly court. Then, Zhang Qing rebelled and the heavenly court was destroyed. Ning Fan did not know how many days had passed. When he opened his eyes, Liangchen Palace was already right in front of him. A beautiful scenery on a fine day, but who's the courtyard that pleases the heart? His eyes suddenly turned cold. He had a deep memory of this place. There should be a herb garden next to Liangchen Palace. That was the place where he met Mu Weiliang. That was the place where he would die 100 times without regret, the place where he would turn into ashes in his rage. The herb garden was already in the Yuanyao Jade. Naturally, it was impossible for there to be another herb garden in this place. Ning Fan flew past the ruins of Liangchen Palace. Behind the ruins, he saw a golden divine tree that towered into the sky. The Undying Tree. Faint golden light floated around the undying tree, forming mysterious and incomprehensible Tao marks. As soon as Ming Ke saw the undying tree, her eyes widened and her mouth watered. This is delicious. It's definitely delicious. When the rogue devil saw the undying tree, he was extremely excited. Lu Xiao and the others were also extremely excited. The undying tree. It's the undying tree. It's a supreme treasure that can allow dead cultivators to return to the world of mortals. Ning Fan gently held Ming Ke's hand with a hint of sadness in his eyes. I can't eat this. I have a use for it. I need to save someone. Oh. Then I won't eat it. Ming Ke nodded her head softly. She had never seen such a sad expression on Ning Fan's face. What she did not know was that the place where the undying tree grew was the place where Ning Fan died in battle in his previous life. It was Ning Fan's unrepentant will and the vast magical power fluctuations from the shattered eye of Palm Qing that gave birth to the undying tree in the future. When Ning Fan saw the undying tree for the first time, he understood the reason why it was born. That year, he shattered immortal Emperor Zhang Qing's eye with his mortal butterfly body. However, he could only save Mu Weiliang once. In the end, Mu Weiliang still died. He was once so useless. Even if he had the intention to kill the emperor, he was powerless to reverse the situation. In this life, he would never let any of his loved ones die. He wanted to revive Mu Weiliang. No one could stop his footsteps. All of you are not allowed to have any ideas about the undying tree. Ning Fan's cold eyes swept across the rogue devil and the others, causing them to keep quiet out of fear. They no longer dared to have any greedy thoughts. He was polite and doting to Ming Quebec naturally. He did not need to be polite to the rogue devil and the others. There is an extremely powerful seal planted on the undying tree. I have only broken 1/7 of the seal before I went to the lower heaven realm. However, with so many helpers here, the speed of breaking the seal will certainly be very fast. These people will stay behind to help me break the seal. As for you. Si Wuxia looked at Ning Fan, wanting to say something but hesitated. What do you need me to do? Just say it. Take this formation diagram. Use your blood to carve the formation marks. Set up this formation with the undying tree as the center. Si Wuxia hesitated for a moment, then took out a blood-red jade slip and handed it to Ning Fan. This is easy. What do I need to do after setting up the grand formation? After setting up the grand formation, you need to have a good rest and recover your vitality. You will need to pay a huge price to resurrect her. You need to be mentally prepared. Her soul is still here, but you want her to reform her soul. This is against the law of samsara. You have to know that you will have to pay a huge price for going against the law of samsara. Knowing this, are you still willing to help her reform her soul? Si Wuxia looked at Ning Fan quietly. Ning Fan did not answer her. He just asked Bright Sparrow to stay behind to take some medicine and rest. Then, he went to set up the blood formation in a flash. Some questions already had the answer from the beginning. There was no need to answer them. Si Wuxia looked at Ning Fan's disappearing figure with a hint of sadness in her eyes. However, she hid it quietly and commanded the rogue devils and the others to break the seal. Bright Sparrow, on the other hand, was resting leisurely. After all, she could not help much with her broken cultivation base, could she? Or perhaps it was already a blessing in misfortune that she did not help or cause trouble. Ning Fan looked at the formation diagram in his hand and remained silent. This was an immortal formation called the reverse cycle blood formation. With Ning Fan's current cultivation base in the Tao of formation, it was not enough to set up an immortal formation. Even if he forcibly set it up, he could only exert less than 10% of the formation's power. Fortunately, this formation used the undying tree as the source of formation power. Even if it only had 10% of the formation's power, it could still exert 100% of the formation's power. This was enough. The coverage of the formation was extremely wide, stretching to 10,000 li. Ning Fan needed to use his own blood to draw the complete formation map of 10,000 li. This was not an easy task. He had the star technique to heal his wounds and blood replenishing pills to replenish his blood. Even so, he could only finish drawing the formation diagram of 100 li in a day. During this process, he needed to exhaust his blood countless times and recover it countless times. The process was difficult, but it was not worth mentioning. 100 days later, Ning Fan finished drawing the entire formation diagram and filled the formation eyes with a large number of Dao crystals. An immortal formation could not be activated by immortal jade. Even though the undying tree was the source of the formation power, it could not provide all the formation power after all. Ning Fan used 2 million Dao crystals to fill all the formation eyes. When he returned to the undying tree, half of the seal on it had already been broken. He still had time to recover his primordial qi. The best way to recover his primordial qi was to use the star technique to recuperate his body. Ning Fan took out all the star stones he had obtained from this trip and sat cross-legged beside Bright Sparrow. He refined them one by one and the number of stars in his body began to increase rapidly. 1695, 1710, 1725, after devouring half of the star stones, a loud bang suddenly resounded in the sky. Lu Xiu and the others stopped what they were doing and raised their heads to look at the sky. All of them were shocked. Bright Sparrow was also looking at the sky with a puzzled expression. Si Wuxia looked at the sky. She did not look surprised, but her eyes flashed with a hint of sadness. Ning Fan looked at the sky and his eyes suddenly turned as cold as ice. Amidst the loud bang, a giant door slowly appeared in the sky. It was an immeasurably huge purple-golden door. The door was completely destroyed and it could no longer be opened. The key to the door was once kept by Mu Weiliang, but she was deceived by Zhang Qing. That giant door was the reason why the ancient heavenly court was destroyed. In the past, immortal Emperor Zhang Qing opened the giant door and stepped out from it, starting a massacre. Cici, you seem to know where that giant door leads to. Ning Fan closed his eyes to calm the coldness in them and asked. I don't know. In my memory, there are very few mentions about this door. The ancient records of the Kunlun Jade Pool only briefly mentioned about this door. It only said that there are endless dangers behind this door and it can't be opened. However, this door was destroyed after the ancient heavenly court was destroyed and it can no longer be opened. Every 1,000 years, this door will reappear in the heavenly court and then disappear. Si Wuxia answered. Is that so? Ning Fan was silent for a while and kept looking at the giant purple golden door. Si Wuxia and the others continued to break the seal. 10 days later, the shadow of the giant door disappeared. Ning Fan's eyes flashed, but he did not say anything and continued to refine the black star stones. 2 months later, he had completely refined all the star stones. The number of natal stars in his body had reached 8,800, which was more than what he expected. 8,800 natal stars were enough to instantly heal the injuries left by a rogue immortal. Even if he was besieged by a few rogue immortals, he would not die. Of course, if the number of rogue immortals besieging him reached a certain level, the speed of his recovery might not be able to keep up with the speed of his injuries. The seal of the undying tree was only one step away from being completely broken. The moment the seal was broken, Lu Xiu and the other void fragmentation old monsters' knees went weak and they fell to the ground. Each of their faces looked extremely weak. Even the rogue immortals had an expression of great exhaustion. Si Wuxia's face was even paler. Her true body was at the critical moment of transcending the tribulation, but her avatar was wasting its magical power here. This had a great impact on her true body. Si Wuxia's body went limp and leaned to one side as if she was about to fall, but Ning Fan immediately caught her and she fell into his arms. Are you all right? Ning Fan asked with a frown. At this moment, Si Wuxia's complexion was abnormally weak. Not only was her magical power greatly consumed, even her avatar was on the verge of collapse. If it was just breaking the seal, there shouldn't be such a huge loss. Perhaps, something happened to see Wuxia's true body and she was seriously injured, which also damaged her avatar. I'm alright, but I'm afraid this body can't use any magical power anymore. If there are any strong enemies, I won't be able to protect you. Si Wuxia blushed and pushed Ning Fan away. She stubbornly stood still and said, "The seal of the undying tree has been broken. Take out her corpse and help her reconstruct her soul. Although the 7 treasures are good, they are still external objects." Ning Fan was slightly nervous. Was it finally time to reconstruct Mu Weiliang's soul? So what if it went against the law of samsara? He couldn't let Ji He and the other women dissipate their souls, and he couldn't let Mu Weiliang lose her soul. If he had to pay any price to bring Mu Weiliang back to life, he was willing to pay this price. He stroked the Yuan Yao jade with his fingers. In the next moment, an ancient green coffin appeared under the undying tree. That year, he was the butterfly and she was the princess. This year, he was the devil and she was the corpse. Ning Fan slowly opened the coffin and put it aside. He looked at Mu Weiliang's sleeping face and his heart gradually calmed down. Next, what do I need to do to reconstruct her soul? Ning Fan raised his head and looked at Si Wuxia. You need to pay 3 prices, then borrow the power of the reverse cycle blood formation and the undying tree to help her soul reconstruct. But is it possible? What price do I need to pay? The first price is that you need to cut off half of your soul as a medium to reconstruct her soul. Si Wuxia looked at Ning Fan quietly. The higher the cultivation base of a cultivator, cutting off one's soul would damage their lifespan and foundation. She was wondering if Ning Fan would agree to this request. That's easy. What's the second price? Ning Fan asked indifferently. The second price is that you need to destroy your 7 emotions and send them to her so that she will have true feelings after she comes back to life. From now on, you won't cry or laugh. You will become a heartless person. Of course, if you can reconstruct your 7 emotions, you will naturally be able to return to normal. Even if I have to destroy my 7 emotions, I won't become a heartless person. What's the third price? The third price. Si Wuxia lowered her eyes and remained silent. After a long time, she transmitted her voice to Ning Fan. Do you dare to abandon samsara? The true samsara. If you abandon it, you will die with your void fragmentation cultivation base and you won't have the chance to be reincarnated. If you abandon it, you will die with your immortal cultivation base and you won't have the chance to be reborn. Do you dare? The price of defying the law of samsara is to be abandoned by the heaven and earth samsara. Do you dare to exchange your life for hers? This is equally easy. Let's start to save her. Si Wuxia began to teach Ning Fan the specific treatment method. Ning Fan did not say much. He moved the sword light on his finger and slashed at his chest. The wound was instantly healed by the black star. However, his face turned as pale as a piece of paper in an instant because his soul had been slashed into 2. Speaking of which, this was the second time he severed his soul. Ning Fan held a ball of half-black and half-white soul light in his hand and pressed it into Mu Weiliang's chest. Then, he withdrew his palm and pointed at the top of his own head. Destroying the 7 emotions, Ning Fan's eyes dimmed after he pointed his finger at her head. Then, he used his other hand to point at the top of Mu Weiliang's head and transferred the power of the 7 emotions to her. The last price was to be abandoned by the samsara. The method was very simple. This formation would be activated by Ning Fan and this soul would be reconstructed by him. Thus, he would be abandoned by the samsara. All of you, get out of the reverse cycle blood formation. I will activate the formation here. The moment the seal of the undying tree was broken, the expressions of all the ancestral kings of the first 27 heavens changed. When the power of the undying tree disappeared bit by bit, the 9 ancestors and 18 kings revealed expressions of fury. Damn it! Damn it! It's obvious that there are only a few years left. Who dares to break the seal of the undying tree and extract its power? The undying tree is the main reason why the primogenitor can be resurrected. Now that this person has extracted the power of the undying tree, how is the primogenitor going to be resurrected? Damn it! Damn it! It's meaningless for us to stay in the cave dwelling. Quickly gather the people of our clan and use the power of the immortal burying altar to rush to the 33 heavens. I want to kill the person who destroyed the tree. Chapter 680. Love in troubled times was not a simple desire of the flesh, nor was it a simple love between a man and a woman. Among them, there were gratitude, righteousness, requests, admiration, and too much helplessness. Ning Fan sent everyone out of the reverse cycle blood formation. Then, he reached out his hand and gently caressed Mu Weilang's sleeping face. There were some feelings that could not be explained in a lifetime, just like how he and Mu Weilang had been entangled in 2 lifetimes. Was it simple love? No, it was hard to explain, but when Ning Fan saw that she was in trouble, he would disregard everything and rush to Zhang Qing's aid. In order for her to wake up, Ning Fan was willing to sever his own divine soul and extinguish his 7 emotions, losing his chance of reincarnation forever. That was enough. Mu Weilang's bright and clean sleeping face had a kind of tranquil beauty. Her delicate skin was slightly cold. Ning Fan withdrew his palm and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. He was smiling. Even though he had lost his 7 emotions, he was still laughable. Smiling was an expression that had nothing to do with one's mood. If Ning Fan wanted to laugh, he could laugh. Even if he did not feel happy, he would still find it funny. It was just like how even though Yun Tianjue had lost his 7 emotions, he still stubbornly loved Ning Qian. He would still fly into a rage and kill his enemies. Heaven could destroy human feelings, but it could not take away human thoughts. A truly heartless person would be cold-blooded and heartless to his loved ones, even if he still had 7 emotions. That was true heartless. Ning Fan was not one of them. Even if he had to destroy his 7 emotions, he was not a heartless person. He formed a seal with his 10 fingers and silently activated the reverse cycle blood array's power. He closed his eyes. The blood formation that stretched for thousands of miles instantly lit up with a blood-red glow. When the blood light shone on the green coffin, it seeped into Mu Weilang's body and melted the 7 relics in her body. Using Ning Fan's ordinary soul as the foundation, it gradually formed a new soul and spirit in her body. Mu Weilang originally had souls. Her 3 souls were Ji He, Mu Xiaoyang, and Mu Xiaohuan. Her 7 spirits were Si Wuxie. Her 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical souls had not been destroyed, but she had reconstructed her soul. The souls of 2 lives coexisted. This did not conform to the rules of reincarnation. Therefore, Ning Fan was punished by the heavenly Tao Samsara. Ning Fan had a feeling that something in his body was being extracted bit by bit. He knew that what was being stripped away was the right to enter the cycle of reincarnation. From today onwards, if he were to die, he would never have the chance to be reborn. The power of the tree of immortality was also being drained bit by bit. There were originally several immortal fruits on the tree, but in just 10 breaths of time, all the immortal fruits had withered and finally turned into ashes. Ning Fan's wish of collecting the undying fruit cores was going to fail. However, the seal in his body had long been broken, so the fruit core was useless to him. The towering golden divine tree withered little by little. Inside the green coffin, Mu Weilang's vitality was getting stronger and stronger. Ning Fan closed his eyes and silently controlled the grand formation. After losing the right to enter the cycle of reincarnation, he actually gained a deeper understanding of it. In this world, there are gains and losses. After escaping the cycle of reincarnation, he stood outside the mountain and looked at the mountain with a single glance. You can't see the true face of Mount Lu because you're in this mountain. I died in battle all those years ago, and now I've returned to this place. Isn't this a form of reincarnation as well? In my previous life, I met Weilang here, but I couldn't protect her. In this life, I'm here to help her be reborn. Isn't this also a form of reincarnation? However, be it me in my previous life or in this life, there's one thing that has never changed. It's the obsession in my heart. It seems like reincarnation can't erase the obsession in my heart. It can't. Perhaps, reincarnation isn't the strongest power in this world. Reincarnation, a trace of weak power of reincarnation in his body began to grow at an extremely slow speed. His mind was gradually lost in the reverse cycle blood formation, as if he had become one with the formation. Inside the green coffin, Mu Weiliang's memories flowed into Ning Fan's sea of consciousness. The rumbling sounds of battle gradually reached his ears. Various scenes emerged in his mind. Vaguely, he seemed to have seen the scene where the ancient heavenly court was destroyed. In the sky above the heavenly court, a giant purple golden door opened. A golden-haired man took a step out and killed countless immortals with a wave of his hand. He was Master Qing. He casually threw a fist-sized eyeball to the ground. That eyeball was the eye of a heavenly emperor. He disdainfully attacked Mu Weiliang, but a butterfly flew into the sky and destroyed one of his eyes. It shocked him greatly. In the end, the butterfly turned into ashes and disappeared. However, the butterfly's heroic act of fighting an immortal emperor had aroused the blood of countless immortals in the ancient heavenly court. More and more experts walked out from the giant purple golden door. All of them were enemies. The destruction of the heavenly court was imminent. Master Qing took out a treasure to seal the ancient divine heart power of all the immortals in the heavenly court. Mu Weiliang rushed towards Master Qing with tears in her eyes, wanting to avenge the little butterfly. However, she was killed by Master Qing with just a finger. An elderly immortal emperor sealed Mu Weiliang's corpse into a green coffin. His eyes were filled with tears. The heavenly emperor had fallen, the princess was dead and her divine heart was sealed. The heavenly court would most likely not be able to escape the calamity like the devil race and the demon race. But so what? What's there to fear about death? What's there to fear about annihilation? Immortals of the heavenly court, follow me to kill all the enemies in the outer domain. Avenge the emperor. Kill. 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 Even though the butterfly was dead, it had conveyed its obsession to everyone. Even an ordinary butterfly did not fear death. What did they, the dignified immortals of the heavenly court, have to fear? Master Qing's eyes were cold. With a point of his finger, the heavens collapsed. That finger could destroy the nirvana samsara. With just a point of his finger, several immortal emperors had fallen. However, no one feared Master Qing. No one feared the enemies in the outer domain. The elderly immortal emperor laughed loudly. His eyes were blood-red as he rushed towards Master Qing and self-destructed his body. Master Qing grunted as if he had suffered some injuries. Beside him, many experts from the outer domain were blown to death by the self-destruction. Even more immortals' eyes were blood-red as they began to fight with their lives to kill the enemies in the outer domain. Most cultivators cherished their lives, but at this moment, they were not afraid of death. A giant immortal emperor burned his primordial spirit and punched towards Master Qing with the power of the heavens. Countless mountains and rivers shattered. In the face of such a powerful punch, Master Qing only raised his finger and pressed the giant immortal emperor's body into ashes. The giant immortal emperor's primordial spirit laughed loudly and rushed towards Master Qing. People from the outer domain, scram. Boom. The primordial spirit self-destructed, and Master Qing was slightly injured once again. Another immortal emperor riding a yellow bull laughed at the sky and rushed towards Master Qing. There was an indescribable heroism in his laughter, as if he was not afraid of heaven and earth. Big Yellow, you die first. This old man will follow closely behind. As soon as the immortal emperor gave the order, the yellow bull under him immediately rushed towards Master Qing. The yellow bull's strength was comparable to an immortal emperor. The pair of horns on his head was extremely sharp, enough to penetrate the defense of most immortal emperors. Evil creature, you're courting death. Master Qing snorted coldly and raised his finger to destroy the yellow bull. Although the yellow bull was destroyed, the pair of golden bull horns on his head was not destroyed by Master Qing's finger. Instead, they pierced into Master Qing's dantian. Pfft! This was the first time Master Qing coughed out blood since he opened the realm gate. The immortal emperor showed a sorrowful expression. That sorrow was because of the death of the yellow bull. Once, he was still a shepherd boy riding a yellow bull in the forest. He met an immortal master by chance and embarked on the path of immortality. That bull accompanied him for a lifetime, and now it was dead. Big Yellow, don't worry. This old man is coming for you. Ha! The old man suddenly dismembered his body. His body turned into countless sword rays and rushed towards Master Qing fearlessly. Master Qing's eyes turned cold. He raised his finger to block most of the sword rays, but he was still injured by a small part of them. While Immortal Emperor Yellow Bull was holding Master Qing back, thousands of immortals rushed towards the purple gold gate. There were no unnecessary words, no hesitation. There was only a look of indomitable will. The ancient immortals of the heavenly court used their flesh and blood to hit the purple gold gate. They wanted to destroy the heavenly gate. The purple gold gate gradually cracked and became illusory. Then, it gradually began to close. Master Qing's eyes were extremely cold. The gate had been destroyed. The passage to the outer realm that was opened with great difficulty was destroyed just like that. Millions of years of planning had been destroyed in an instant. Great Venerable Master Qing, let's retreat. An immortal emperor from the outer realm gritted his teeth. Although the passage to the outer realm had been destroyed, it was already a great victory to destroy the god, demon, and demon races. There was no need to continue to lose troops. Want to leave? Do you think I'll allow it? An extremely dignified middle-aged man stepped on millions of black starlight and approached them step by step. He was wearing a black dragon robe. One of his eyes was gouged out and black blood kept flowing out. He looked at the battlefield where almost all the immortals of the heavenly court had died in battle. Then, he raised his head and laughed loudly. Let's die together. Boom! At this moment, Heaven's sovereign self-destructed. The remaining immortals of the heavenly court also self-destructed. The extremely terrifying force of self-destruction swept across, killing countless enemies from the outer realm. Master Qing coughed out blood in horror. He could not believe that Heaven's sovereign, who had been killed by him, was still alive. At the critical moment, he gave him a fatal blow. Countless black star forces entered Master Qing's body. His injuries were severe. He gritted his teeth and escaped back to the outer realm just before the purple gold gate completely collapsed. The remaining enemies from the outer realm were all dead. Ning Fan opened his eyes and felt a little more samsara power in his body. He remained silent. He had obtained Weiyang's memories. Does this mean that Weiyang had lost her memories of the past? If she wakes up, she won't remember the destruction of the heavenly court, right? That's good too. To her, that memory will only bring her sadness. It's better to forget it. However, I didn't expect such a heroic battle to take place on the eve of the heavenly court's destruction. On the path of Tao cultivation, we must cherish our lives. However, there are many times when we have no choice but to disregard our lives. Ning Fan's hand seals kept changing. The undying tree was almost completely withered. It was almost a dead tree without any spirituality. Mu Weiyang's soul was also almost completely restored. She was going to be a real living person soon. Her steady breathing entered Ning Fan's ears, making him feel even calmer. The corner of her mouth curved into a smile. Perhaps, she was dreaming of something good. Little butterfly. Don't run. Wait for me. She spoke softly in her sleep. What she said made Ning Fan chuckle. It turned out that she was dreaming of him. After a while, she would wake up. All of a sudden, countless rays of teleportation light shone in the sky. Countless members of the immortal burial clan appeared around the undying tree. Si Wuxie and the others rushed to Ning Fan's side. Each of them looked at the sky solemnly. Ning Fan, the situation doesn't look good. Was she resurrected? If he has completely resurrected, we'll retreat immediately. It's not advisable to confront these people head-on. Si Wuxie's beautiful eyes were solemn. Even a fool could tell that these immortal burial clansmen came with ill intentions. In the short span of a dozen breaths, the 9 ancestors and 18 kings had all arrived. More and more members of the immortal burial race rushed to this place. There were already several hundred void fragmentation realm experts. All of them were brimming with killing intent. I still need some time before I can be completely revived. Ning Fan clenched his fists tightly and said. Damn it. Si Wuxie frowned and cursed in a low voice. In order to break the seal, she had almost used up all of her magic power. The main body was undergoing the great heavenly tribulation. At this moment, the clone was already in a state of collapse and did not have the strength to fight anymore. Even if the clone was fine, it was impossible for a rogue immortal clone to fight against the entire immortal burial clan. Lu Xiu and the others were extremely weak because they had broken the seal. More than half of the scattered magic power had been consumed. In the face of such a great battle, no matter how powerful the scattered magic was, it was useless. The Tree of Immortality is destroyed. The Tree of Immortality was truly destroyed. Ha, ha. The 9 ancestors and 18 kings looked at the withered Tree of Immortality, their eyes brimming with tears as they threw their heads back and laughed uproariously. Then, everyone's killing intent locked onto Ning Fan. It was this outsider who had annihilated the members of the immortal burial clan along the way. It was this outsider who had destroyed the Tree of Immortality. Just as he was filled with anger and shock, the second ancestor suddenly saw the rogue devil. He was slightly startled but his eyes were filled with disdain. Then, he saw Ming Ke and Mu Weiliang who was in the green coffin. His face was filled with joy. The rogue devil was also a pill body devil. However, there were 2 types of pill devils. One was a pill body and the other was a devil body. He had a devil body and did not have any pill power. Thus, he could not help the primogenitor to revive. Ming Ke was a pill devil with a pill body. She was a pill devil with an extremely high quality. Mu Weiliang had absorbed all the power of the Tree of Immortality. However, she had yet to completely refine it. If they capture Mu Weiliang and offer her to the primogenitor, the undying power would definitely be transmitted to the primogenitor. If they capture Ming Ke and offer her to the primogenitor's pill devil body would definitely be completely restored. Everyone, don't despair. Even though the Tree of Immortality is destroyed, that little pill devil and the lady in the green coffin are still very useful to the primogenitor. Capture the 2 ladies. Kill the rest. Under the command of the 9 ancestors and 18 kings, the experts of the burying immortal clan rushed towards the Tree of Immortality like a tidal wave. Cici, Ming Ke, you 2 stay here and protect the green coffin. Big Head, the rest of you will also stay under the Tree of Immortality and guard the green coffin. I will deal with the burying immortal clan alone. Ning Fan took a step forward and soared into the sky. He fearlessly stared at the experts who were rushing towards him like a tidal wave. The formation was almost completed. It could now operate on its own. He could fight them. The rogue devil and the others only needed to protect Mu Weiliang. Before Mu Weiliang is completely resurrected, no one can fly within 10,000 li of the Tree of Immortality. Ning Fan turned into black robes and extracted the void soul of the great earth. His eyes were filled with devil intent. He pointed at the sky and 8,800 pitch-black stars suddenly appeared under the clear sky. He would never let Mu Weiliang die for the second time in his life. The area within 10,000 li of the Tree of Immortality was a forbidden area that he could not trespass. Black Star Technique. Heaven Sovereign's Black Star Technique. Moreover, he actually has so many natal stars. The 9 ancestors and 18 kings were shocked. At the next moment, Ning Fan made a grabbing motion with his hand. Boundless black starlight condensed into a starry bow. The devil talisman of the ancestral devil turned into strange patterns and was engraved on the starry bow. This was the secret technique of the six-winged progenitor, star punishing bow. Without saying a word, Ning Fan drew the bow and shot an arrow at the cultivators of the immortal burial clan. The power of this arrow seemed to have triggered the great force of 8,800 stars. At the moment when this arrow was shot, every region of the 33rd level of the heaven realm was bathed in black starlight and trembled violently. When the remains of countless immortals who had died many years ago sensed the black star power, they actually shed tears. It was extremely strange. This was the technique of a heaven sovereign. It was once the glory of countless ancient immortals of the heaven court. The bowstring made a long clanging sound. The arrow that was shot out never returned. That crazy black star arrow light carried the obsession of Ning Fan's 2 lives. It turned into a rain of tens of millions of black arrows. Like a rain of locusts, they killed countless divine transformation realm and void refinement realm cultivators of the immortal burial clan. Cultivators whose cultivation bases were lower than the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm were directly injured by the rain of arrows. Even those cultivators of the 8 shatter realm were slightly pushed back by the arrow light. They could not get close to the tree of immortality. Ning Fan drew the bow again and knocked the 2nd arrow. He then shot an arrow at one of the cultivators of the 8 shatter realm. At the moment when he shot the 1st arrow, he shot 15 arrows consecutively at the other 15 cultivators of the 8 shatter realm. His magic power had already been depleted a long time ago. Almost all of the arrows were formed by his star power. Since his star power was already so strong, it was easy for him to kill the cultivators of the 8 shatter realm in an instant. A yellow-faced old man of the 8 shatter realm looked at the arrow light that was approaching him disdainfully. He raised his finger and pressed it down. Bent arrow light, before he could finish his words, the arrow had already penetrated his head. The black star power wreaked havoc in his body, instantly destroying his primordial spirit. In the end, the physical body of the 8 shatter realm old monster exploded and turned into a mist of blood. An 8 shatter realm cultivator was killed by Ning Fan with a single arrow. The remaining cultivators of the 8 shatter realm were shocked. After realizing how powerful the arrow light was, none of them dared to use their physical bodies to resist it. Golden shields, spiritual talismans, treasured armors. The remaining 15 8 shatter realm old monsters displayed their defensive abilities and magic treasures. Chi. Their defensive magic treasures were penetrated one after another. Their formations were broken and their abilities were destroyed. One after another, the 8 shatter realm old monsters of the immortal burial clan were pierced through by the star arrows. They died with hatred and exploded into mists of blood that filled the sky. The remaining 16 8 shatter realm old monsters of the immortal burial clan were instantly killed by Ning Fan with just a single blow. The expressions of the 325 void fragmentation realm experts of the immortal burial clan and the 40,000 plus void refinement realm experts who had yet to die changed drastically. The expressions of the 9 ancestors and 18 kings also changed drastically. They knew that it was impossible for them to kill 16 8 shatter realm cultivators in a single blow with just their strength alone. Ning Fan had already reached his limit by killing 16 8 shatter realm cultivators in a row. However, the devil sense in his eyes became stronger and stronger. He raised his head and let out a long roar. A pair of devil horns grew on his head and 8 wings grew on his back. His body was surrounded by overwhelming devil chi. Ancient devil. The 9 ancestors and 18 kings were shocked. The art of killing. Ning Fan forcefully devoured the blood chi of the fallen cultivators and turned them into his own essence chi. Then, he used his essence chi to draw the star-punishing bow again and aimed at the 7 shatter realm cultivators of the immortal burial clan. His gaze was filled with terrifying baleful chi and monstrous devil sense. When they met Ning Fan's ferocious eyes, the 40,000+ experts of the Immortal Burial Clan all retreated frantically. They did not dare to fight against him. The destructive power of this star arrow was too strong. It was not something they could withstand. In this place, only the 9 ancestors and 18 kings could fight against Ning Fan. The 16 kings sneered. So what if you're an ancient devil? The power of your bow technique isn't weak. You can kill the 8 Shatter Realm cultivators instantly and scare the juniors of my clan away. However, you can't scare us rogue immortals. Immortal technique, Great Withering Glory Finger. That person pointed his finger at Ning Fan from afar. Ning Fan was immediately shrouded by a dark yellow finger light. His body actually showed signs of collapsing. Gritting his teeth, he aimed the star bow at the 16 kings and forcefully shot an arrow. At the next moment, Ning Fan's physical body withered and exploded into black shadows. Then, he condensed again. His face was extremely pale as if he had been severely injured by the 16 kings. As for the 16 kings, they raised their hands and pointed at the star arrow. However, they were only forced to take a few hundred steps back. Their blood and chi were in turmoil, but they were not injured at all. The difference in strength was obvious. You're not weak, but you're not my opponent. Now, you can die. The 16 kings raised his hand and pointed at him with another Great Withering Glory Finger. Ning Fan clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were filled with madness. He was still not a match for rogue immortals. However, so what? The starlight turned and his injuries were instantly healed. He pressed the movement-breaking bow. With a wave of his hand, the Emperor Xia's sword was already in his hand. Suddenly, blood light shot up to the sky around his body. The sword was pointed at the 16 kings. Bing Jia, just 2 words were uttered calmly, but it gave the 16 kings a feeling that their souls were about to leave their bodies. As for the other 26 ancient kings, all of them wore terrified expressions. They roared. 16 kings, retreat quickly. We can't fight against this sword light. Ning Fan had already gone mad. If he wasn't mad, how could he be called a devil? In his previous life, he was just a mortal butterfly and he was not afraid of immortal Emperor Zhongqing. In this life, he was also not afraid of the 9 ancestors and 18 kings. It was not enough to bury the immortal clan. Under the undying tree, I'll fight for this life. I'll use my remnant consciousness to exchange for your life. Kill. He let out a devil roar. He had forgotten everything except for one thing. This was his battlefield. He would not retreat even half a step no matter what price he had to pay. Chapter 681. Run. The warnings of the other 26 ancient kings reached the 16 kings' ears, but it was already too late. Ning Fan's robes were torn to shreds. His skin turned into bloody light bit by bit and disappeared. His muscles, bones and blood all turned into bloody light. His sword was covered with an extremely terrifying blood-red sword light. He seemed to have turned into a bloody man. No, he was a blood devil. His whole body was burning with boiling blood. Blood-red devil horns grew on his head and 8 blood-red wings grew on his back. He seemed to have lost his mind. He never knew that his heart would be devoured by the devil intent when he uses the weapon disintegration style. His consciousness was sometimes blurred and sometimes clear. Under the starlight of the heavens, his physical body was barely able to maintain its indestructible state. However, that was all. The sword in his hand suddenly disappeared and went into Ning Fan's body. At this moment, the 16 kings felt a sense of impending doom and fled desperately. As for the blood devil that Ning Fan had transformed into, the corners of his mouth curved into a cruel smile. Chi the blood devil turned into a ray of blood-red sword light. His speed was already comparable to a life immortal realm cultivator. He instantly caught up to the 16 kings. Both of his hands were wrapped with blood-red sword light. He had temporarily merged with Emperor Xia's sword. He tore the 16 kings into two halves from the middle. The cut was as smooth as a mirror, as if they were cut by a sharp sword. Ning Fan waved his hand and caught the 16 kings' primordial spirits. He then swallowed them in one gulp. His expression became even colder. Ah! The wails of the 16 kings spread across the entire 33 heavens in an instant. The 40,000 members of the immortal burial clan trembled. The 9 ancestors and 18 kings also felt a chill from their feet to their heads. He killed a rogue immortal with a single strike. The 16 kings who were at the rogue immortal realm were actually killed by Ning Fan with a single strike. That was an ancestral king. This young man destroyed his physical body in order to use such a powerful technique. If he uses this technique for the second time, he will definitely die. We don't have to be afraid of him. Let's attack together and kill this young man. As soon as the 6th ancestor's voice fell, the remaining 26 ancestral kings rushed towards Ning Fan. They could not give Ning Fan the time to use his second sword technique. Otherwise, another one of their ancestral kings would die. The price they had to pay was too great. The blood light around Ning Fan gradually faded. The weapon disintegration style was only enough to kill one rogue immortal. He could clearly feel that after executing the weapon disintegration style, a demonic thought had been deeply planted in his Dao heart, and it was difficult to erase it. If the so-called sword devil inheritance was cultivated to the extreme, one would naturally degenerate into a devil. However, this devil was a bloodthirsty and cold-blooded devil, which was completely different from Ning Fan's devil Dao. If this evil intent remained in his heart, it would be extremely harmful to him. It would definitely affect his path of becoming an immortal. An ordinary person would have died long ago after performing the weapon disintegration style twice. Who would care about this demonic thought? Ning Fan, on the other hand, was different. He had the self-healing ability of the Black Stars. Even though he used the weapon disintegration style, his injuries were also healing rapidly. Even though his physical body was severely injured, it was not destroyed at all. However, the demonic thoughts were still deeply rooted in him. Every time he used the weapon disintegration style, the demonic thoughts would increase. When it exceeds the limit of his endurance, he would be devoured by the devil sense and become another devil that would not recognize his own family. However, he had no other choice. He could not fight against so many ancestral kings. The only thing he could rely on was this technique. Silly brother. In the profound Yin world, Luoyu sighed and closed her eyes. Currently, she could no longer provide any help to Ning Fan in such a situation. Weapon disintegration, a cold voice resounded. Ning Fan turned into the blood devil once again. At the moment he used the weapon disintegration style, all the 26 ancestral kings stopped moving. None of them dared to be the first to rush forward and block Ning Fan's sword light. Hee hee. Who wants to die? The blood devil let out a sinister laugh. With a flash of sword light, he appeared in front of the great ancestor. The great ancestor was drenched in cold sweat from fear. He raised his hand and summoned a golden bracelet, striking at the blood devil heavenly spirit. The blood devil's laugh became even more sinister. He clenched his 5 fingers and the golden bracelet was cut into countless pieces. Then, he used his other hand to tear off one of the great ancestor's arms and swallowed it. Ah! The great ancestor let out a blood-curdling scream. At the next moment, his other arm was also torn off and eaten by the blood devil. None of the ancestral kings dared to go to the great ancestor's aid. They could only watch as the great ancestor was eaten by the blood devil. They did not dare to go near him. They knew that the blood devil's strength would not disappear before the great ancestor's death. Whoever goes near him will die. If I'm not mistaken, the technique this young man used is to destroy his physical body the first time and his primordial spirit the second time. He will certainly die after these 2 times. It saves us the trouble of killing him. Unfortunately, the great ancestor and the 16 ancestral kings died too tragically. Forget it. We will go and capture those 2 women now to help our ancestor resurrect." As soon as the remaining 25 ancestral kings finished their words, their eyes were filled with shock. Ning Fan, who had used the weapon disintegration style twice, was still alive. He was still in the body of the blood devil. It was the 3rd time he used the weapon disintegration style. His devil sense became stronger. Ning Fan's consciousness became even more blurred. Only a trace of obsession was holding on, vowing to protect Mu Weiliang from harm. His body gradually lost control of itself. He gritted his teeth and turned into the blood devil, forcefully rushing towards the center of the group of ancestral kings. All of the ancestral kings' expressions changed drastically. With the blood devil as the center, they quickly retreated and each of them took out their natal treasures to attack the blood devil. The blood devil sneered coldly. He raised his finger and pointed randomly. Each of the peak immortal void realm magic treasures turned into powder. After that, he turned into a sword ray and dashed towards one of the ancestral kings. He pierced his dantian with his claw and easily crushed his primordial spirit. 18 ancestral kings. 3 ancestral kings roared furiously. For a moment, they forgot their fear towards the blood devil and dashed towards him. The blood devil's eyes flickered with a crazy devil sense. At this moment, he only had one thought in his mind: to kill all of the enemies here. Weapon disintegration. Weapon disintegration. Weapon disintegration. The seed of the devil sense grew deeper and deeper. The blood devil directly withstood the attacks of the 3 ancestral kings. Under the effects of the star technique, the injuries he suffered were instantly healed. He sneered and pointed 3 times with his finger. The 3 ancestral kings were immediately turned into minced meat by the blood rays. Who else? The blood devil licked his lips. There were still traces of blood left by the great ancestor at the corner of his mouth. In just 10 breaths' time, 6 ancestral kings had fallen. The remaining 21 ancestral kings were filled with fear. Even if they were to face 30 to 40 rogue immortals, they would not be afraid even if they were no match for them. However, the blood devil that Ning Fan had transformed into was too terrifying. He was not a human at all but a devil. Most of the devil cultivators in the world still referred to the cultivation techniques of the devil Tao. Even if he was an ancient devil, the word devil still referred to the cultivation techniques of the devil Tao. There were kind-hearted people among the devil cultivators and there were also soft-hearted women among the ancient devils. However, the blood devil in front of them had nothing to do with his cultivation techniques. It was the devil sense that was deeply planted in his heart. Cruel, cold-blooded, heartless, despicable, cunning, evil, this devil was a mad devil. He could kill all of his enemies by hook or by crook for the obsession in his heart. However, this devil's strength was terrifyingly strong. Perhaps even an ordinary life immortal realm expert would have to think twice before temporarily avoiding him if he encounters such a fearless blood devil. Who else could kill 6 rogue immortals instantly other than a life immortal realm expert? At this moment, Ning Fan, who was using the weapon disintegration style without any restrictions, was no different from a life immortal realm expert. Retreat. Let's retreat for now. We can't fight this devil. We can only give up on the matter of resurrecting our ancestor for now. If we die, our ancestor really won't be able to be resurrected again. Members of the Immortal Burial Clan, listen to my command. All cultivators below the 6th break realm will stay here and stop this devil. Fight for a chance to escape for us. The 2nd ancestor gave the order. Without saying another word, he turned around and left. He no longer dared to capture Ming Ke and Mu Weiliang. The rest of the ancestral kings also gritted their teeth and slightly suppressed the panic in their hearts. Then, they turned around and fled. If they continue to stay here, they would certainly die. The cultivators above the 6th break realm were equally terrified. Even the ancestral kings were easily killed by the blood devil. How would they dare to throw away their lives? It would be best if they could escape. More than 40,000 experts below the 5th break realm were left behind by the ancestral kings to cover the retreat. They knew that they had no chance of surviving in the hands of the Blood Devil. Now, they could only fight with their lives on the line to ensure the continuation of their clan. He. Do you think you can run away? Weapon disintegration. Weapon disintegration. Weapon disintegration. The Blood Devil sneered. All of a sudden, his body dispersed into billions of rays of blood-red sword light. In an instant, the sword light swept across the vast sky. He walked step by step behind the 40,000 people. Behind him, 40,000 experts of the Immortal Burial clan had died and turned into blood mists. What? 280 Void Fragmentation Realm experts and 40,000 Void Refinement Realm experts couldn't stop this devil at all. Other than us ancestral kings, all of you stay behind to protect the bloodline of the Immortal Burial clan. Yes. Following the ancestral king's order, 45 6th and 7th Break Realm experts stood in front of the Blood Devil. As for the 21 ancestral kings, they desperately ran away. They're just trash. Weapon disintegration. Chi, the Blood Devil sneered. Then, he dispersed into countless rays of blood light and vanished without a trace. At the next moment, he appeared behind the 45 experts. The expressions of the 45 6th and 7th Break Realm old monsters froze on their faces. At the next moment, all of their heads flew high up into the sky. Their blood splattered on the clouds. The blood-red sword chi invaded their bodies and killed their primordial spirits in an instant. The Blood Devil did not even look at the corpses, Dao fruits, and storage pouches that were scattered all over the ground. He just stared at the 21 ancestral kings who were desperately trying to escape in front of him and licked his lips with a bloodthirsty expression. He stomped on the ground ferociously and crushed all the spoils of war. He liked to destroy things. To him, killing people was the most enjoyable thing. After performing weapon disintegration for so many times, Ning Fan's Dao heart had already been deeply eroded by the devil sense. His Dao heart had already fallen. Stepping on 8,800 rays of black starlight, the Blood Devil instantly caught up to the 17 ancestral kings. With a shake of his body, he grew to 50,000 zhang in size and swallowed the 17 ancestral kings alive. As soon as the 17 ancestral kings were swallowed into the Blood Devil's stomach, they were cut into pieces by the blood light. With a miserable shriek, they died a violent death. This was the power of the weapon disintegration style. This was the reason why the weapon disintegration sect of the Western Heaven was so famous. Exchanging death for death was a technique that only lunatics would use. The weapon disintegration sect was a place where lunatics gathered. However, the disciples of the weapon disintegration sect used the weapon disintegration sword technique for the great battle, for the sect and for the righteousness in their hearts. The Blood Devil, however, was different. In the beginning, Ning Fan used the weapon disintegration style to protect Mu Weiliang. Now, he had already degenerated into a Blood Devil. His heart was only filled with killing intent and he no longer recognized his own family. 17 Kings. King Jiu gritted his teeth as he looked at the blood demon. He had wanted to volunteer to stay behind and block the blood demon, but in the next instant, he had already been torn to pieces by the blood demon. The 8th Patriarch trembled as the Blood Devil closed in on him. He wanted to beg for mercy, but the Blood Devil completely ignored his pleas, and didn't even bother to take him as a slave. The blood demon only wanted to kill. In the blink of an eye, the 8 ancestors had been torn to shreds. The 5th ancestor was swallowed by the blood demon, the 4th king was chewed to pieces, and the 11th king was stomped into meat paste by the blood demon. One after another, the ancestor kings with shocking cultivation base fell one after another. In the end, only the 13 kings were left. The 13 kings did not dare to run anymore. They clenched their teeth and charged at the blood demon. They self-destructed their bodies in an attempt to take the blood demon down with them. His death had indeed dealt a heavy blow to the blood demon. The blood-red light on Ning Fan's body faded slightly. He withdrew from his blood devil form and knelt on one knee on the ground. His body was covered with wounds. There was no time to heal. No matter how powerful the star arts were, there was no time to heal. He had used the weapon disintegration style too many times, and he alone slaughtered the entire immortal burial clan. The price he had to pay was that his Dao heart would be completely tainted and corroded by the devil sense. Ning Fan forced himself to stand up. However, he realized that his limbs were no longer under his control. The reason why he still retained some of his rationality was because the last ancestor king had severely injured his devil sense. However, if his injuries recover in the future, he would fall into the devil sense again and lose all of his rationality. Even if he did not use the weapon disintegration style, the price, in this world, which action does not require one to pay a price. I must go back as soon as possible to bring Weiliang away and find a way to temporarily suppress the devil sense. Before I completely lose my rationality. Ning Fan clenched his teeth. He did not have the time to collect the scattered storage pouches on the ground. Instead, he carried the ancient golden sword and flew back at full speed. He had dispersed the 8,800 black stars above his head. However, the star arts were still healing his body instinctively. His injuries were recovering bit by bit. The demonic sense, which had been slightly scattered, was also recovering. His eyes were blood red and he was gradually losing his rationality. However, he still clenched his teeth and endured the pain. When he returned to the undying tree, his face was cold and filled with anger. A cold smile hung on the corner of his mouth. He was once again invaded by the devil sense. He had killed 27 rogue immortals all by himself. The baleful chi on his body was extremely terrifying. Even a life immortal realm expert would be fearful of it. When Lu Xiao and the others saw Ning Fan's return and saw his soaring baleful chi, they knew that Ning Fan must have killed the 9 ancestors and 18 kings. All of them were extremely shocked. The current Ning Fan gave them an extremely unfamiliar feeling. That cold smile of his was too bloodthirsty, making them shudder in fear. Mu Weiliang had been completely resurrected, but she had yet to wake up. The undying tree had completely withered and its life force had dissipated completely. Master, you're back. I thought you would die. I was so scared. Seeing Ning Fan return safely, the rogue devil was so happy that tears flowed down his face. Don't misunderstand. The reason why he was worried about Ning Fan's death was because Ning Fan had planted a mental seal on him. Ning Fan was the master. If the master dies, the servant will certainly die. He was afraid that he would be implicated by Ning Fan and die because of him. Rogue. Devil. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with blood-red light. He looked at the rogue devil with a cold smile and pointed a finger at him. In an instant, he turned into his blood devil form. The sword light from his finger was enough to kill the rogue devil instantly. Seeing this, the rogue devil was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He could not withstand this sword light at all. He would definitely die. At the critical moment, Ning Fan's eyes suddenly revealed a hint of struggle. He waved his hand and sent the blood-red sword light far away, avoiding the rogue devil. The destructive power of the sword instantly flattened the land of millions of li. Blood light soared into the sky. Brother Biscuit, something is wrong. Brother Biscuit, look at me quickly. I'm Ming Ke. Don't you recognize me? Ming Ke's face was filled with anxiety. At this moment, Ning Fan actually made her feel so unfamiliar. As soon as he saw her, the blood devil licked his lips. He actually wanted to eat this pill devil in one bite. At the next moment, the blood devil could not help but beat his own chest. The sword light from his finger made a bloody hole on his chest. It slightly dispersed the devil sense. Ning Fan withdrew from his blood devil form. His eyes became clear again. How could he bear to hurt Ming Ke? Now that the devil sense had already penetrated deep into his heart, he could only slightly disperse the devil sense by severely injuring himself and temporarily regain some of his sanity. Is this the price you have to pay for using the weapon dispelling sword technique? Is it worth it? Si Wuxia bit her lips. If her true body was here, she might have a way to help Ning Fan suppress the devil sense. However, her clone could not help Ning Fan at all. Is it worth it? Ning Fan smiled bitterly. He would still smile. Step by step, he walked towards the green coffin. Looking at Mu Weiliang in the coffin, he felt slightly relieved. He had said that he would not let her die again. Now, did he manage to fulfill that promise? Little butterfly. Little butterfly, as if sensing Ning Fan's approach, Mu Weiliang gently opened her eyes. Her pure eyes looked at Ning Fan with confusion, puzzlement and joy. You are little butterfly. Who am I? All of her incomplete memories were given to Ning Fan, allowing him to see the scene of the destruction of the heavenly court. The current her had forgotten everything. The only person she remembered was Ning Fan. Only that butterfly was left. Even if she forgot everything, she would never forget that butterfly. She remembered that she had waited for little butterfly for a very long time. Today, she had finally arrived. You are Mu Weiliang. Mu Wei Liang, she gently supported her body and sat up from the green coffin. Ning Fan quickly supported her and carried her out of the coffin. From today onwards, she would no longer need this green coffin. However, a scene that surprised Ning Fan appeared in front of him. Mu Weiliang left the green coffin and walked with light steps. After taking the first step, her body gradually became shorter and her appearance became immature. Her face that was originally 16 years old suddenly became 12 years old. She took another step and her appearance and body changed again, turning into 9 years old. Another step and she became 6 years old. The 6 years old Mu Weiliang looked like a little girl and shyly held Ning Fan's hand. She remembered that this was her little butterfly. She did not want to let go of his hand. Little butterfly, why did I become shorter? She tilted her head, expressing her confusion. Ning Fan frowned and looked at Si Wuxie with the same puzzlement. Her new soul has yet to grow and it is still very weak. Her body also cooperated with her soul and turned into a child. Only by consuming the immortal soul grass can her soul be nourished and grow again. Immortal soul grass. Can you get some? Ning Fan asked with a frown. No, this grass can only be found in the Eastern Heaven immortal world. In the Eastern Heaven, there is an immortal soul star. There is a race called the soul race that specializes in growing this grass. However, the soul race has already been annihilated. I don't know if this grass can still be found. Si Wuxie sighed. Little butterfly. I can't grow up anymore. Mu Weiliang revealed a dejected expression. After reconstructing her new soul, her mental age seemed to have become younger, completely becoming a younger version of Mu Weiliang. No, you will grow up. Believe me, the immortal soul grass. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and kept the green coffin into his storage pouch. He looked at the spoils of war near the undying tree and thought for a moment before taking them away one by one. Your evil sense is very troublesome. If you are willing, I can privately give you the quota of ascension and bring you back to the Western Heaven to suppress the evil sense. Although Si Wuxie's tone was cold, Ning Fan could hear a trace of concern in it. No, Ning Fan shook his head and smiled bitterly. Si Wuxie was the saintess of the Western Heaven. It was fine if she publicly gave Ning Fan the quota of ascension, but if she privately gave him the quota, there would be great trouble. He did not want to implicate Si Wuxie. Of course, if she publicly gave Ning Fan the quota, Ning Fan would inevitably be investigated by the Kunlun Jade Pool. Once his identity as the ancient devil is exposed, there was almost no chance for him to survive in the Western Heaven. The Buddhist sect of the Western Heaven would surely kill the ancient devil as soon as possible. Humph. You don't want it. Just pretend that I didn't say anything. Si Wuxie knitted her brows, feeling somewhat displeased. What is evil sense? Can you suppress the evil sense if you eat more delicious food? I have a lot of delicious food here. I'll give them all to you. Ming Ke untied the storage pouch that was filled with spiritual herbs and passed it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan waved his hand, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. In Ming Ke's mind, eating is omnipotent. Rumble, the ground of the 33 heavens suddenly trembled. As it trembled, a wave of life immortal realm aura force swept towards Ning Fan and the others. All of a sudden, Ning Fan's expression changed greatly. Junior, you really have guts. Not only did you kill all the members of my immortal burial clan, but you also obstructed my resurrection plan. Tell me, how should I punish you? Rumble. Rumble. Rumble, there was actually a life immortal expert sleeping under the ground of the 33 heavens. That life immortal expert was punching the seal on the ground, trying to break free from this place. Pill Devil and the woman who absorbed the light from my undying tree. Leave these 2 women behind and I'll spare your life. What do you think? Rumble. Rumble. Rumble, the ground was cracking bit by bit. A ferocious man was slowly breaking free from the seal. His killing intent had already locked onto Ming Ke and Mu Weiliang. I've received information that the 9 ancestors and 18 kings of the immortal burial clan have gone to great lengths to resurrect their ancestor. Ancient Zong. It's said that Ancient Zong was a quasi-emperor when he was at his peak. Now that his resurrection plan has been ruined by us, he has only recovered to the life immortal realm, but he's still not someone we can fight against. We must escape from the ancient heavenly court before he breaks the seal. Si Wuxia's expression showed a hint of panic. A quasi-emperor was just a step away from becoming an immortal emperor. Even if such a person had just been resurrected and had yet to recover to his peak, no one on the scene could fight him. We can't fight this person. All of you, enter this world. I'll be responsible for escaping. Ning Fan touched the Yuanyao Jade and sent Si Wuxia, Ming Ke, and Mu Weiliang into the Yuanyao world. He also kept the rogue devil into the devil's sealing pouch. Without saying a word, he healed the bloody hole on Black Star's chest. The devil sense that had dispersed in his body slowly gathered again. He turned into a blood devil once again and lost all his rationality. Weapon disintegration. Even the bloodthirsty blood devil would not dare to fight against the ancestor of Ancient Zong. Without saying a word, he turned into a ray of blood light and dashed towards the 32nd floor. Oh. His speed isn't slow, but he might not be able to escape from my palm. Open. Boom! After a loud bang, a 10,000 li abyss appeared on the ground. A young man with white hair licked his lips as he looked at the direction where Ning Fan was heading. Let's see how long you can run for, Junior. Chi, the white-haired young man, chased after Ning Fan. 32nd floor, 31st floor, 30th floor. Ning Fan continued to use the weapon disintegration technique to maintain his blood devil body. The burden on the talisman became greater and greater. However, the white-haired young man had a determined look on his face. He firmly believed that even if he had not recovered to his peak, it would still be easy for him to capture a junior who was at the 6th shattering realm. In the 29th floor of the ancient heavenly court, Heaven World. Chang Shan looked at the destroyed ghost-raising formation and felt a chill run down his spine. This was the ghost-raising formation that the ancestor had spent a lot of effort to set up, but it was destroyed. How was he going to report this to the ancestor when he returned to the sect? He wondered if the ancestor would extract his primordial spirit to concoct pills in a fit of rage. I must capture the pill devil and bring him back to the sect to atone for my sins. Humph. Last time, I was careless and was ambushed by the white-robed lady. This time, I'm well prepared. I can definitely bring the pill devil away. Oh. I didn't expect the pill devil to already be at the 30th floor. He's already at the 29th floor. Chang Shan held the compass in his hand and located the direction of the pill devil. Then, he dashed towards a certain direction. A few days later, he sensed an extremely familiar presence in front of him from afar. It was Ning Fan's presence. I found him. Capturing this young man is the same as capturing the pill devil. He's just a 6th break realm cultivator. If I sneak attack him, it'll be as easy as flipping my palm. Chang Shan swallowed a medicinal pill and concealed his figure, hiding in this place. From afar, a blood-red escaping light was getting closer and closer. That escaping light gave Chang Shan an uneasy feeling. He felt that something was out of his control. He didn't think too much about it. When the blood-red escaping light got closer, he jumped out and stood in front of Ning Fan and sneered. "Junior, hand over the pill devil and I'll let you die in one piece." As soon as his words fell, he was shocked. The person he stopped wasn't Ning Fan but a devil that was shrouded in blood-red light. No, to be more precise, this person was indeed Ning Fan. However, the situation seemed a little strange. The baleful qi on Ning Fan's body was so strong that it made Chang Shan panic. The pressure from Ning Fan's body was as heavy as a mountain, causing Chang Shan to be unable to breathe. This was too absurd. He was a dignified rogue immortal, how could he show his fear in front of a 6th break realm cultivator? "Those who stand in my way shall die." Ning Fan, who had turned into a blood devil, had no intention of talking nonsense with Chang Shan. Subconsciously, Ning Fan remembered that Chang Shan was an enemy. Thus, he naturally wouldn't stop the devil's sense from killing him. The blood devil lifted his finger and pointed. Countless blood-red light immediately slashed at Chang Shan. The fierce wind pressure made Chang Shan's face hurt. His eyes widened in disbelief. He couldn't understand how Ning Fan, who had just broken his 6th break realm, could perform such a stunning sword attack. However, he should be able to withstand this sword attack. After all, he was a dignified rogue immortal. After consuming a few pills, Chang Shan's cultivation base skyrocketed. He was extremely conceited and used his hand to extinguish the sword light. In the next moment, he was slashed into meat paste by the blood-red sword light with a confident expression on his face. Only his primordial spirit was left. He rolled up his storage pouch in horror and escaped from his corpse. His body was shivering. Weapon disintegration. He has already disintegrated. How is this possible? How did he maintain the state of disintegration and escape? Why didn't his physical body collapse? Trying to escape. The blood devil revealed a cold smile. A blood-red light flashed and swallowed Chang Shan's primordial spirit. Storage pouch. After thinking for a while, he decided to keep it. That was Ning Fan's will. Ning Fan suspected that Chang Shan had a secret treasure that could search for Bright Sparrow. He was going to destroy that treasure. Chang Shan couldn't believe that he was killed instantly by Ning Fan, who he had always looked down upon. After killing Chang Shan, the blood devil continued to flee to the lower levels without saying a word. Behind him, a white-haired young man was chasing after him. He killed every demonic beast and devil beast he encountered and drank their blood to recover his strength. His cultivation base was recovering bit by bit. "You can't run away." The white-haired young man smiled coldly, revealing his white teeth. His teeth were full of beast blood. Chapter 682. In the 19th level of the ancient heavenly court. A black-armored old man was looking for the heavenly gate that led to the 20th level of the heaven realm. He was walking on the ground. His pace was not fast, but every step he took could cover a distance of millions of li. He was a rogue devil old monster. If Ning Fan was here, he would definitely recognize him. He was the rogue devil old monster of the Summoned River sect. Humph. Those 4 heavens cultivators didn't expect me to come back. I saw them leave with my own eyes. Now that Ning Fan doesn't have any strong reinforcements around him, it's the best time for me to kill him. As long as I kill that junior, the old ancestor's anger will subside. He won't blame me for Han Yetian's death, the old man sneered. Suddenly, he stopped walking and looked at the sky. He sensed a whistling escaping light approaching from afar. If his senses were not wrong, the owner of that escaping light was definitely Ning Fan. Humph. I've been looking for you for a few years. I finally found you. The old man sneered. He leaped into the sky and stood in midair. A blood-red escaping light was approaching from afar. Without saying a word, the old man lifted his finger and pointed. Heaven and earth shook violently. A 10,000 zhang finger light pressed towards the person in the bloody light. The finger light shot towards the sky. Wind and smoke rose in all directions. The old man flicked his sleeve to disperse the smoke in front of him. He looked at the shattered bloody light and sneered. Is he dead? But now, he turned around and was about to return to the summoned river sect in the ancient demon's abyss. Suddenly, his back was drenched in cold sweat. He turned his head in disbelief. The shattered crimson light instantly condensed into a blood demon with a sneer on his face. The blood devil looked at the rogue devil old monster as if he was looking at a delicacy. He licked his lips ferociously. Enemy. Chi, a blood-red sword light flashed and the blood demon turned into a whistling sword rainbow. It pierced through the scattered demon old man's body and appeared behind him. He then appeared behind the rogue devil old monster, holding the storage pouch and primordial spirit. He swallowed the primordial spirit and kept the storage pouch. Then, he sneered and fled to the next level. In the next moment, the rogue devil old monster's body exploded into a mist of blood. The scene was chilling. You sure run fast. A white-haired youth arrived soon after. With a sinister smile, he continued to chase. Ancient Heavenly Court, Ninth Heaven Realm. The cultivators of the Nine Realms, led by 7 rogue immortal patriarchs, were searching for treasures in this lair. From the first floor to the 9th floor, their eyes were filled with shock. The heavenly gate was destroyed, leaving only the passageway. There were traces everywhere, all of which were caused by the battle. In the first 9 levels, there was not a single living member of the immortal burial clan. Such a strange thing caused many old monsters who had entered the ancient heavenly court many times to be extremely shocked. Someone had destroyed the heavenly gate, someone had slaughtered layer after layer of the immortal burial clan. Who was it? Is it really Ning Fan? Other than Ning Fan, who else could it be? This generation's reign emperor is truly a terrifying figure. The itinerant immortal old monsters gathered again and sighed at each other. Because Ning Fan was engaged in battles everywhere, it caused the space in the ancient heavenly court to show signs of instability. This time, the ancient heavenly court was probably going to close early. In this old man's opinion, there's no need to go to the 10th layer of the heaven realm. Let's turn back and prepare to leave the heavenly court ruins. I have a bad premonition. I wonder if fellow Taoists have the same feeling. What a coincidence. Recently, I've been feeling uneasy. I keep having the feeling that many things are going to happen. I'm afraid that a great calamity is about to befall this place. We really should leave as soon as possible. Fellow Taoist is right. Let's go. We'll return to where we came from. While they were talking, 2 streaks of blood-red escaping light suddenly approached them from afar. All of a sudden, the 7 itinerant immortal experts revealed a shocked expression. All the void fragmentation realm old monsters raised their heads and looked at the distant sky in disbelief. Among the 2 escaping lights, the first one was a devil whose body was surrounded by blood-red light while the second one was a white-haired young man. The baleful chi on the blood devil was too terrifying. No one knew how many itinerant immortals and void fragmentation realm experts he had killed. Just a trace of baleful chi was enough to make everyone here shudder. There was also an invisible sense of oppression coming from his body. The old Crimson Sovereign and the other itinerant immortal old ancestors felt a chill down their spines when they met the eyes of the blood devil. It was as if it was a piece of cake for this blood devil to kill them. It's Brother Ning. Lu Haoyue said in a deep voice. His eyes were filled with worry. He was the first one who recognized that the blood devil was Ning Fan. Moreover, he could tell that Ning Fan's current state was very abnormal. However, the blood devil fled too fast. In just an instant, he had already gone millions of li away from them. He did not give Lu Haoyue a chance to ask about it. As soon as they heard that the blood devil was Ning Fan, all of the old monsters present were shocked. When they looked at the white-haired young man who was chasing after the blood devil, all of their faces turned pale. Life Immortal Realm. That white-haired young man was actually a Life Immortal Realm expert. Moreover, at the moment when they looked at the white-haired young man, he had already locked his killing intent on everyone here. Moreover, 2 Void Fragmentation Realm experts of the Devil World were directly captured by the white-haired young man and eaten alive. Delicious. The white-haired young man stopped his escaping light. He was not in a hurry to continue chasing after the blood devil. He stood in midair and looked at the Void Fragmentation Realm experts of the 9 realms beneath his feet. He licked his lips and blood seeped out from the corner of his lips. His eyes were so evil and cold that it sent chills down everyone's spine, including the 7 itinerant immortal old ancestors. He lightly stepped on the sky and set up a barrier within a radius of 10 million li. No one could escape. Senior, who are you? Why did you kill the cultivators of my devil world? One of the itinerant devil old ancestors mustered up his courage and asked. Who am I? Do you have the right to know? You are just a bait. You talk too much. The white-haired young man made a suction force from the void and pulled the itinerant devil old ancestor into his palm. Then, he opened his mouth and swallowed the itinerant devil old ancestor. Hissed out, a chill rose in everyone's heart. That was a itinerant devil old ancestor. However, he was eaten by the Life Immortal without any resistance. I didn't expect there to be a Life Immortal in the ancient heavenly court. Moreover, this Life Immortal is an extremely terrifying devil lord. Leave now. We need to leave now. We can't leave. There is a barrier within 10 million li. We will definitely die. Each of the Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters revealed a look of despair. This white-haired young man was a dignified Life Immortal. In front of a true immortal, Void Fragmentation Realm experts were nothing. Even if everyone here joined forces, they wouldn't be able to withstand a single strike from this white-haired young man. Let's go all out. The old Crimson Sovereign let out a deep sigh and took a step forward. Today was already a situation of certain death. Only by taking a gamble would they have a chance of survival. Lu Haoyue smiled bitterly. He was afraid that he would lose his life here today. Chi. 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 The sound of countless rays of sword light piercing through the air spread across the vast sky, extending to 10 million li. A blood-red light covered the sky. The barrier within 10 million li had already been destroyed. Ning Fan, who had turned into a blood devil, had returned to help Lu Haoyue and the others. Ning Fan gritted his teeth and tried his best to suppress the devil intent in his heart. He could ignore the deaths of everyone here except for Lu Haoyue, whom he considered as a friend. Thus, he could not stand by and watch him die. Oh. You still dare to come back? You really don't know the meaning of death. The white-haired young man licked his lips. He no longer looked at everyone here. His cold eyes swept across Ning Fan and chased after him. Ning Fan gave Lu Haoyue a deep look. Without saying anything, he continued to fly to the next level. Originally, he could abandon Lu Haoyue and the others in exchange for more time to escape. However, he could not abandon Lu Haoyue in the end. After forcefully breaking the barrier of the white-haired young man, Ning Fan's body became even weaker. His speed was greatly reduced. There were several times when the white-haired young man almost caught up to him. Who? Our lives are temporarily safe. It's the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign who saved us. Each of the Void Fragmentation Realm old monsters felt relieved. Their expressions were extremely complicated. Lu Haoyue, on the other hand, clenched his fists tightly and let out a long sigh with his eyes closed. He could see that Ning Fan was already having a hard time escaping from the white-haired young man's pursuit. The reason why he turned back was just to save him. This feeling of appreciation made Lu Haoyue's blood boil in his chest. When he opened his eyes again, his eyes were filled with intense killing intent. I can't help Brother Ning with my current strength. However, if that life immortal dares to hurt Brother Ning, I will avenge Brother Ning at all costs and with all my might. The 8th level, the 7th level, the 6th level, Ning Fan's consciousness gradually returned to him. However, because his body was too weak, it was difficult for him to maintain the state of soldier liberation. This was not good news. His speed slowed down again and again. In the 2nd level of the Heaven Realm, the white-haired young man finally caught up to him. He stopped and looked at the white-haired young man in front of him coldly with a sword in his hand. The white-haired young man narrowed his eyes and stared at Ning Fan without moving. Then, he sneered. Aren't you going to run anymore, Junior? Your body seems to have reached its limit. The corrosion of your devil sense has gone deep and your physical body has already been shattered. No matter how strong your recovery ability is, you can't continue to use that sword technique of desperation. I admire you very much. Hand over the 2 ladies and I will forgive you for your sin of slaughtering the Zhangxian clan. I will spare your life and take you as my slave. I will also appoint you as the great ancestor of the Zhangxian clan. You will follow me to conquer the 4 heavens. What do you think? The white-haired young man looked at Ning Fan quietly. In his opinion, Ning Fan was not a fool. He should be able to see the gap between them. Under such circumstances, handing over the 2 ladies to protect himself was the wisest choice. Cultivation was a selfish thing in the first place. Ning Fan did not say anything. He was already so weak that he did not even have the strength to speak. He just replied to the white-haired young man with a cold gaze. It was impossible for him to hand over Ming Ke and Mu Weiliang. Is this your answer? What a pity. A talent like you is really rare. The white-haired young man's figure suddenly became faint. All of a sudden, Ning Fan was alarmed. He gritted his teeth and forcefully activated the weapon disintegration style. His body glowed with a faint blood-red light. He raised his finger and drew a sword. Then, he turned around and slashed at his back. The power of this sword light is already less than 30% of its original power. However, even if you use this sword technique when you are at your peak, you won't be able to hurt me at all. Destroy. The white-haired young man suddenly appeared behind Ning Fan. He raised his finger and pointed at the sky. An unimaginable destructive force immediately swept across the entire sky. Large areas of the sky began to crumble, as if it could not withstand the power of the white-haired young man's finger. The sword light of the weapon disintegration style suddenly collapsed. Even the blood-red light around Ning Fan's body also collapsed. Ning Fan's eyes widened in shock. He had a feeling that if he did not dodge that attack, he would certainly die under that finger. The strength of this white-haired young man was too strong. Even though he only revealed his cultivation base at the life immortal realm, the pressure he gave off was even more terrifying than Emperor Xia. In the face of certain death, Ning Fan's body swayed and entered the profound Yin world. Medium Kiliacosm treasure. The white-haired young man frowned. As soon as he entered the profound Yin world, Ning Fan suddenly fell to the ground and coughed out blood incessantly. Luo Yu's face was pale. She hurriedly rushed to Ning Fan's side and carried him up. Then, she said bitterly, that person's true cultivation base is at the quasi-emperor realm. He is too strong. Even if I am at my peak, I won't be his match. You are not his match, I know. Ning Fan smiled bitterly. How could he not see how strong the white-haired young man was? He was the dignified ancestor of the immortal burying clan and a mighty quasi-emperor realm expert. Even in the 4 heavens, he was also a figure who could summon the wind and rain. If it is possible, he would not want to provoke such a strong enemy. If that person asks for Ning Fan's worldly possessions, Ning Fan would hand them over after weighing the pros and cons. Only Ming Ke and Mu Weiliang could not be handed over to him. He could only hide in the profound Yin world for 3 months. After 3 months, he would still have to leave this world and confront that person. By then, that person might have already sealed off the vast sky and he would no longer have a chance to escape. He could not stay in the profound Een world for a long time. He had to leave immediately and escape to the first floor. He just needed to fight for a while more and he would be able to leave the ancient heavenly court. Bing Jia. Ning Fan's eyes instantly turned blood red. He turned into a blood devil and instantly left the profound Een world. Without saying a word, he fled towards the first floor of the heavenly gate. At first, the white-haired young man wanted to set up a barrier here and wait for Ning Fan to leave the world of the medium-grade cosmos treasure. The medium-grade cosmos was the abode of an immortal emperor. It was not a place where a cultivator at the sixth break realm could stay for a long time. The white-haired young man knew that Ning Fan would be forced to leave the medium-grade cosmos soon. At that time, he would be able to kill him. Initially, he thought that Ning Fan would heal his injuries in the medium-grade cosmos. However, he did not expect that Ning Fan would immediately leave the cosmos treasure after dodging a strike from the cosmos treasure. It might seem unwise, but it was actually a wise move. Unfortunately, I can't use this person. If that's the case, there's no point in keeping him alive. The white-haired young man muttered to himself coldly. He took a step forward and his body split into 1,000,000 clones. Each of the 1,000,000 clones sneered coldly and surrounded Ning Fan, blocking all his escape routes. Ning Fan's expression changed drastically. He gritted his teeth and dashed forward. However, he was forced back by a finger attack from one of the white-haired clones. I can't escape anymore, huh? Ning Fan gritted his teeth. His eyes were filled with madness. He stared at the 1,000,000 clones of the white-haired young man fearlessly, just like how he looked at immortal Emperor Zhang Qing in his previous life. If I can't escape, I will make this person pay a terrible price even if I have to risk my life. Obsession. 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 His eyes were filled with a crazy obsession. That obsession contained an unfathomable power which actually shocked the white-haired young man. After suppressing this absurd emotion, the true body of the white-haired young man took a step forward and ordered Ning Fan coldly. Hand over those two women. My patience has run out. Ning Fan did not say anything else. He ignited the first drop of Fu Li ancestral blood, followed by the second drop, the third drop and the fourth drop. He ignited the first drop of Mo Luo ancestral blood, then the second drop, the third drop and the fourth drop. Finally, he ignited his primordial spirit. His chi was erratic. Sometimes, it was at the sixth heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Sometimes, it was at the life immortal realm and sometimes, it was infinitely close to the true immortal realm. The expression of the white-haired young man changed drastically. He quickly withdrew his 1,000,000 clones and took half a step back. The ancestral blood of the demon race. The ancestral blood of the devil race. You have ignited a total of 8 drops of ancestral blood. Are you crazy? Do you know the consequences of doing so? Ning Fan might be able to severely injure the white-haired young man by igniting 8 drops of ancestral blood at the same time. However, his cultivation base was limited and he could not withstand the power of the 8 drops of ancestral blood. He would certainly die after that. Moreover, Ning Fan ignited his primordial spirit. He was warning the white-haired young man that he was no longer prepared to live. He was risking his life. If he gives up his life, he would certainly make the white-haired young man pay a terrible price. Sigh. It seems like I have no choice but to take action. If I don't, you, a junior, are going to die here. A long sigh suddenly resounded beside Ning Fan. Ning Fan turned around abruptly. Unknowingly, an elderly man wearing a gray cloak was standing beside him. That elderly man kept the spiritual cloak into his body, revealing his true appearance. He was dressed in gray robes. His face and body were filled with demon marks. His pale white hair was tied into an ancient hairstyle of the demon race. There were many small braids hanging down from his temples. His eyes were like the abyss of hell, bottomless. The elderly man placed one of his hands on Ning Fan's shoulder. The primordial spirit and ancestral blood that Ning Fan ignited were immediately extinguished. I am the great elder of the immemorial Dark Sparrow race, Tai Wu. My lineage has always been the slaves of the Princess Sitsang since ancient times. You don't have to worry that I will harm you. I will handle this matter. From the beginning, Tai Wu had been secretly following Ning Fan and carefully protecting Ming Quebec. When he first saw Ming Ke and Ning Fan being intimate, he was very displeased. He thought, how could his master be so close to a junior who had lost his 6 cultivation bases? Later on, when he saw Ning Fan's resolute killing and his unwillingness to hand over Ming Ke to his death, he began to admire this young man. In the end, when he saw that Ning Fan actually had 8 drops of ancestral blood, he could not help but be shocked. He suddenly realized that Ning Fan was not an ordinary person. 8 drops of ancestral blood, 4 demons and 4 devils. Moreover, the 4 drops of demon blood were actually the ancestral blood of the Forbidden Clan. This person's identity was too terrifying. The white-haired young man was a pill devil. He was not from the demon race. Thus, he could not identify the type of ancestral blood of the demon race. However, Tai Wu would never be wrong. The immemorial Dark Sparrow clan was one of the few large clans that knew about Fu Li. Fu Li. An ancestor of Fu Li with 4 drops of ancestral blood. This identity was enough for him to have a relationship with his master. His master seemed to value Ning Fan a lot. Since that was the case, Tai Wu could not just sit and watch Ning Fan be in trouble. Who are you? Are you trying to stop me? The white-haired young man said coldly. Gu Zong, you don't have to put on an act in front of me. When I was in charge of the immemorial Dark Sparrow clan, you were just a useless immortal pill. Tai Wu's eyes flashed with disdain and he took a step forward. When he took the first step, his cultivation base rose from the rogue immortal realm to the life immortal realm. When he took the second step, his cultivation base instantly rose from the life immortal realm to the true immortal realm. When he took the third step, his cultivation base was only a step away from the immortal emperor realm. When he took the third step, the entire ancient heavenly court shook violently as if it was going to collapse. A wave of aura force that was as heavy as a mountain pressed down on the white-haired young man's head. In an instant, he was forced to retreat while coughing out blood. How? How is this possible? Gu Zhang's expression changed drastically. How could he not see that the gray-robed old man in front of him was far stronger than him? Putting aside the fact that he only had the cultivation base of a life immortal realm expert when he was resurrected. Even if he was at his peak and had the cultivation base of a quasi-emperor realm expert, his strength would still be weaker than this person. How dare you show killing intent towards me? You deserve to die. Immemorial Dark Wheel, open. Tai Wu pointed his finger. Suddenly, a gigantic pitch-black ring appeared in the sky above him. Then, a second ring appeared outside the ring. Countless ancient voices chanting demon scriptures could be heard coming from the second ring. Ning Fan's eyes widened in shock. This technique was the spirit will technique of the ancient demon clan. What Tai Wu displayed was the dark wheel of the immemorial Dark Sparrow clan. The 2 dark wheels rotated and a black light pillar that was 1 million zhang in diameter descended from the sky, enveloping the white-haired young man within it. In just an instant, the white-haired young man was frozen into a black ice cube. In the entire ancient heavenly court's 33 heavens, starting from the first heaven, all the other heavens were frozen and turned into a world of black ice. The slight chill in the air almost made Ning Fan's blood freeze. This is the power of the spirit wheel. Ning Fan's eyes widened. Tai Wu looked at the dead ancient Zong and let out a cold snort. Then, he kept his spirit wheel. He turned his head and looked at Ning Fan with a friendly smile. Little friend, you can summon Ming Ke now. This place is already safe. Ning Fan took half a step back. His eyes were filled with vigilance and he did not summon Ming Quebec. The person in front of him might really be a member of the immemorial Dark Sparrow clan. However, he could not tell whether he was a friend or foe. Are we all friends even if we are from the same clan? Who told you that? Little friend, you have such a strong vigilance. Tai Wu smiled bitterly. Inwardly, he was even more satisfied with Ning Fan. If Ning Fan simply summons Ming Ke when he meets a member of the Dark Sparrow clan, he would be a fool. However, I have a way to make little friend trust me. Tai Wu closed his eyes and activated the slave seal in his bloodline while muttering. Not long after, Ming Ke's joyful voice suddenly resounded from the Yuanyao Jade. Brother Biscuit. Quickly let me out. One of my servants came to find me. He said that he brought me a lot of delicious food. Humph. If there isn't enough delicious food, I will directly activate the slave seal and torture him to death. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.